Ladies and gentlemen, we are here with another day of Apex Legends Global Series, and what a day it is. The fifth of our competition days in North America to help determine who will be going to our regional final and ultimately have a chance to head to LAN and make Apex Legends history. Before they get there, though, they've got to run through the gauntlet of playing each and every group several times, and it is no different from today. Like I said, some of the teams, like you might be thinking of TSM, are taking a break today, although they've won twice, and we will see a new, maybe double victor approach, or maybe somebody else steal the spotlight and set up a finale that you do not want to miss. Either way, we've got a great show for you this afternoon, and thank you if you're joining us from EMEA. I've got some friends right here alongside myself, Rainday, who joined me just last week at our Monster Energy Play Apex event. We were live with a crowd of Apex Legends friends and family, and of course, consider these guys friends and family. John, Fallout, and of course, Vicky, Kitty. How is it to be here? Fall, I'll start with you. Just great to be back for another North American ALGS Day.
Absolutely. Great to be back with my trio as well. So much fun to be joined alongside y'all, Rainday, Vicky, my casting duo. But yeah, I'm excited for this one, Rainday. It's going to be an awesome day of action. When you have teams like NRG, 100 Thieves, and Optic Gaming, and the first and the last in particular, NRG and Optic, really are nowhere near qualifying in the top 10 for LAN as of today. They need to perform. But then you have teams like Team Liquid and Dark Zero and others who have performed consistently. The Guard currently on top. They'll be defending their throne. I'm excited for all these teams in today's competition. Vicky, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I mean, we just came out of coming in from Atlanta, seeing a lot of awesome Apex action. Now we got the ALGS on our hands for day number 5 action for the North American region. I'm super excited. You highlighted some of those teams. I'm looking at teams like Luminosity. We don't have them in this lobby right now, but Tripods obviously being one of those favorite teams to watch in Group B that, are taking a little bit of a break period, obviously taking a break as well. It's going to be great here to see how some of these teams do, because some of the bottom end teams aren't doing as hot as we were expecting them to do.
It's really interesting to see how these groups kind of clash against one another, because it almost sets us up for a certain type of, je ne sais quoi of how the vibe feels for the day. We know Ascend did really well in A versus C. Well, they clap back with even more. They got a triple point score, over 100 in EMEA in A versus C. Will we see similar things with our participants today? It's a great time to check out who we will be seeing in our North American A versus C. We mentioned TSM is not in this one, but that should actually open up some space for teams who have already shown that they've got a chance to perform. I'm talking the Guard and LG, our former winners of our other 2 days of North America. But John, who do you got your eyes on?
Yeah, we already highlighted a lot of the top teams and big brands. For me, it's the bottom 3 teams all in this lobby. Sentinels is one of them. Somehow Tech found a way onto this roster. He's playing alongside this squad. I'm just kidding. Shots Tech, the coach of this team. But he's playing alongside Crust and Senox on the Sentinels roster. It's not just them, though. It's Rack Attack in 29th and Slepton in 30th, also in this lobby today. This is the halfway point of the season. This is a must-perform week for those teams. So circling those teams in particular, and of course NRG and Optic I'd throw in there as well.
Vicky, what are your thoughts going into this? Obviously, a matchup. We've got Dark Zero, our LAN winners, in here as well, but we haven't spoken too much about them yet.
Yeah, Dark Zero being one of those squads that you definitely want to see pop off. I mean, overall, they're not doing as much. Well, I mean, they're in 6th place overall, so I'm expecting them to do good. But I was going to mention, actually, FaZe doing really well in the same exact group, A versus C, getting 2nd place, but have fallen off. Can they do as good as they did in day number 2 in a very similar lobby?
5th, 6th, and 9th for Dark Zero. You mentioned FaZe. They're going to have a chance to perform as well. Luminosity coming off one big win, but haven't had the consistency there alongside NRG, so it places them at 11th to 12th. And a few teams like 100 Thieves having a chance to be on display also, stuck with that Furia, Watson, Valkyrie combo. Will we see changes to that today? Many storylines across the board. But of course, when we head into these lobbies, we've got to focus on a few teams only that really catch our eye. And I'll start with you, Vicky. Who has caught your eye heading into today?
I gotta say, it's gotta be Luminosity Gaming. The all-Mexican squad, who are currently situated in 11th overall, struggled against Group A before, having a pop-off performance during their day 3. But in day 2, they did struggle in NAL ALGS and came back to topple over the rest of the groups during Group B. They didn't take a dub, but they were fragging out with double-digit KP. We highlighted Yanya being one of those MVP players who had an amazing standout performance. Their positioning and their KP was great, but can they finally take a dub? That is the question.
That's a big question indeed. LG's looked great, though. I mean, Yanya looks like he's using aimbot, how good and how talented he is in those close-range fights. But hey, for me, it's Complexity, and I am honored, thrilled, and excited to say my team to watch is Complexity. Why? Because this is a team that used to dominate. We used to talk about them week in and week out. Complexity back in Bloodhound meta when they were so incredibly dominant. They were so smooth, so much fun to watch. Well, they are back, and it's on the heels of this Watson Newcastle team composition that they are playing to perfection, much like Ascend is doing in EMEA. It's awesome to see, since the pickup of Luxford, the young controller player, how well this team has meshed. All three of them playing out of the Dallas facility, the Cowboys facility down in Frisco, Texas, are performing out of their minds. Complexity is my team to watch. And again, Rain Day, I'm excited to say that again.
You can't not be excited about Dallas or Texas esports. They got a lot going on, even in Arlington. But I got to tell you one thing with Complexity. I know we're watching this one again. The team that is taking down Complexity in this clip, it's Liquid. They have placed third, and seventh over their 3 days of playing, and now in day 5 have a chance to push themselves to the top. And they already, in my eyes, have been doing something special, bringing in the Loba, it being different in terms of how they approach the game, leaning on Hodzic as a coach and continuing the ability to really take a very good look at how to play the game and to identify their weaknesses and make changes quickly. I think this could be Liquid's day to take the top spot. But of course, they're gonna have to get it done in match 1 through 3, which will be on Stormpoint. Match 4 through 6 is where we will end the day per usual. And that obviously allows us to get a variety of different play styles and certain teams, certain compositions to adjust. We saw simple changes like Watson and Newcastle shift to Crypto and Watson, especially for our winners of EMEA earlier on this afternoon from Ascend. But let's take a look at, of course, something if you want to check out a certain team, you like Complexity, or you maybe like Liquid, or maybe you like Luminosity and all of them. Check out Multiview. We've got this as an opportunity for you to check out your favorite players' POVs. Bring them into the action. Never miss a rotation, a final fight, or a final zone. All you have to do is check out the command center, pick on the team POV that you want, and you actually see the action from their perspective and listen to their call-outs. That to me is maybe one of the most interesting parts. You can see what they're saying and how they're handling the difficulties of the day. And certainly it will not be easy. But when we highlight these things and go into the intricacies of what it means to actually play the game, obviously what these players are using and carrying tends to be very, very important, which is why we go into our segment right before the day where we talk a little bit about the items that matter. So with WD Black presenting what's in your pack, it's time for Fallout and Vicky Kitty to give us a highlight on maybe something that might turn the tide if our players can use it this afternoon, John.
Yep, that's right, Rain Day. And for this segment, well, it was the highlight from last week's event, which was TSM, and in particular, Imperial Hal with the RE45 playing on controller, by the way, for one of the first times in ALGS. Imperial Hal makes the switch over to controller and puts this RE45 to absolute use. I'm going to be completely honest with every single one of y'all. I used to sleep on the RE45 coming in a supply crate. After watching this clip, I have never and have yet since and will never again sleep on a fully kitted RE45 with disruptor rounds. He is able to absolutely fry, obviously through shields, courtesy of the disruptor rounds. But Vicky, talk to me about this moment here. This is where TSM secured the win, courtesy of the RE45 in Hal's hands.
Yeah, the moment you hear those disruptor rounds go off, I have nightmares. I literally see that in my own dreams. It's kind of the equivalent of falling off, and you're just literally free falling with no safety whatsoever. Hal absolutely popped off here with the RE45. He cleaned up with one side of the rock, then managed to rotate around and then burn through the rest of the competition on the other side of the lava. It was absolutely impressive, and I mean, that's why the RE45 with the disruptor rounds being in the crate is also so lethal when it comes to actually having control over those legendary weapons.
That's why it's so important to look at how these map and these patches change over time. And we could see in Season 15 with the RE45 and Disruptor rounds back in the mix, it's maybe going to be the difference in terms of finishing off the play and taking number 1. That was What's in Your Pack, presented by WD Black. All right, we are really looking ahead here, John. We talked a little weapons. We've talked a couple of teams that make sense for us to highlight, but really it's anybody's game. TSM have been a strong start in North America. You know, we had their storyline set up and they certainly performed. Not only that, they went and won twice. We've got 2 teams here that have a chance to repeat as well that are playing today, but I kind of want to highlight the Guard. You were keen on them, a new pickup, a new signing to Apex Legends. They have a chance to go back-to-back here, or at least win 2 now days out of 5 days that they've been able to play.
Yeah, and I'm glad you're highlighting them because I mentioned earlier in the show, the Guard defending their throne, on top. Well, guess what? They're not on top right now. Why? Because Group C has played one less match day than Groups A and B. So as a result, TSM is on top. But going into the last match day when all teams were on even footing, the Guard was on top. They're looking to get back on top today. And we had a chance to hang out with RKN. It was awesome down in Atlanta, and I had a chance to meet his wife as well. And they took a complete break. They said 2 days, not thinking about, not playing, not touching Apex. My question is that going to affect them today? They miss out on 2 days of practice. Do you need to constantly grind the game, or was that 2 day break good for their mental? We're going to find out here in a little bit, Vicky. I'm excited to see what the Guard can do, but who do you have your eye out for? Any other teams?
I'm going to have to say another team from Group C, and it's going to be Optic Gaming, because we really haven't been seeing them perform to the degree that we expect them to perform. Yeah, they've gotten top 10, but they haven't been able to have any standout performances that allow them to elevate themselves in the overall leaderboards. I believe right now, Optic Gaming is sitting at 21st, overall. And that's very surprising to say, because Optic Gaming have been one of their more consistent NA teams from year 2 of the Pro League. Where have they been here for year 3?
Vicky, you raise a great question. A lot of like the fans either watching from EMEA or North America, USA versus England, there was a lot of buildup to that game in the World Cup. And then 0-0 draw kind of didn't make you mad, but it didn't really fulfill you. I feel like that's kind of the trajectory that we saw Optic Gaming take heading into the championships, getting signed by Optic, coming in from ESA, changing roster members so much, putting up these insane numbers, our highest point total, I think, of a pro day ever with something 120 points. And then just did a little bit lackluster at the championships. Didn't really have that same level of dominance that we expected. Dark Zero obviously claiming that Furia really stealing the show in terms of their performance in terms of KP. So can Optic, you're right, bring back the momentum that they had heading towards the end of Split 2 into Split 3, John? But I don't know.
Here's the thing, though, Rain Day. Here's the problem with that. Soccer is the worst sport. Apex is the best sport. So the analogy just doesn't work for me. It's just not doing it for me. I don't know. It's just,
man.
It's not working.
Did you, you're lucky that this is the EMEA broadcast, because I know you'd have made the chat very mad.
I would not have done that in the EMEA broadcast. But Americans have my back here, all right? Apex is the best esport, hands down. Soccer, the worst sport. Easily agreed upon.
What a take here during the World Cup. That is blasphemous, John. I don't know. Vicky, I'm not sure if you have any decider. Can you be our deciding vote here?
Look, ALGS is my World Cup. That's all I'm saying.
I love it.
Spoken like a true caster of the ALGS. She's actually not lying, though. This girl literally breathes, eats, and sleeps esports.
She does.
Actually.
She does.
She doesn't know who the New England Patriots are. No
Specifically Apex 2 here, too. It's you got to hit them with the pra-pra. You already know how it goes.
You guys
you can't hit him with the pra-pra in soccer, Evan. You can't do that.
No, you can't do that. But you can score a goal and make an entire nation.
You can also tie a game 0-0, and it's okay.
Jeez, you're one of those people that probably hasn't played a lot of soccer, Hunter. I'm just taking a guess.
Yeah, I actually played soccer through the 4th grade. I was a goal scorer, and then it's all she wrote for me. But no, jokes aside, I have a lot of respect for soccer, actually. Greece is in the World Cup this year, so I'm salty. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can feel that. But they won the Euros like maybe 8 years ago or something like that.
20 years ago.
Yeah, 20 years ago. It feels like I was maybe eight years old or something. But yeah, no, it was there's definitely a lot of action going around in competition. And I think that's kind of sparked up the interest of today too, because all of these moments like in group play, right? I actually feel like we're in a really nice parallel, because it is a little bit like group play here, where you got another day. If you don't do well today, there's one more to look at. But soon, guys, you start talking about, well, you've only got one more. And now what position are you in? Have you won? Have you really set yourself up? I feel like this is a huge opportunity for some teams that you had mentioned. Let's look at NRG as well. John, they're in the same kind of position as Optic right now, still sitting decent in the top 20, but not where they want to be in terms of heading into a regional final.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, as of today, I mentioned it as well at the top. I kind of compared to them to Optic. They will not qualify for LAN in 12th place. It's top 10 teams, so the top 9 teams technically after the team that wins the regional finals in Pro League points will qualify. But with that said, NRG, they haven't dominated ALGS like they've dominated a lot of other tournaments, but they've still done more than enough to stay in contention. NRG is well above middle of the pack in 12th place, I believe, overall right now. So a big day for them today can propel them into the top 5. We'll see if they, of course, can get that. But keep in mind, Group A has an extra day of play than Group C does. So, all things equal, they're probably around 20th place. So you're spot on there, Evan. They're actually close to where Optic is overall in terms of points per game.
Let's talk about this complexity. I know, Vicky, we had highlighted it earlier, and that was actually Fallout talking about it, but I want to get your thoughts on them. 3 4th place finishes. If they continue to do that, you can see they've already set them up in 3rd place. A win here might propel them to the very top of NA. How is that for complexity, and how do you feel about them going into this day?
I feel like complexity, aside from the fact that 4 has to be their lucky number, they're really consistent. I mean, if you get 4th every single day that you've been able to play so far, and now you're sitting in 4th place in the overall standings, that means that they've also been able to not only prioritize their KP on the middle of the rotations, but their positioning as well, which is very difficult, I would say, when it comes to the different compositions that we've been seeing so far in North America. We've been seeing a lot of seerless comps. We've been seeing different variations with crypto involved in other regions. Now, how is that going to fare against the changeup of different comps as we move deeper into NA with more days to come?
Another team too, and we're still on this first page. We got a little bit of time while we're loading into the game. I want to go back to the LG conversation. I think this is a team that in my eyes is around, it's kind of around Ascend, a little bit less because they haven't been a split 1 or split 2 playoff winners, but I do think that this team has been a very high performer that doesn't get enough conversation around them, John. Day 2 wasn't a great start for them. Obviously, they've only played, I believe now 3 times, but day 2, they were in 14th. They bounced back in day 3 and win. They get a 66-point game. Talk about the resiliency of LG and just some of the weapons that they've got on that team.
Yeah, I love this team. 2 controller players, 1 keyboard and mouse player, and Yanya, but ultimately Niazul, formerly known as Ganjaman, is so good and doesn't get the respect he deserves for being so good. They made a big roster change, a big risky roster change, and dropping an Amigo, who they had chemistry with, for Jaguares, who was the best player on the 2nd best team, All Glory Gaming, in Mexico. And I like that pickup. It's actually ended up proving out to be great for them. Jaguares has played great on controller for that squad. They were so dominant in that last day where they won with the first place finish. I think they ended up winning by 20 or 30 points. Really, really impressive stuff. Their ability to take any fight and play edge, but then also, if they have a chance to rotate early, take that edge rotation, kind of a hybrid play style works so well for them.
Let's take a look at the second page, too, because that's also part of the story for today. You're talking about not qualifying into that top 20, not being in a position to even make that regional finals. You've got Optic Gaming, Furia, E8, Smiley, Oxygen Esports, Karasuna. First attempt, Sentinels, Slept On, and Rack Attack. Vicky, is this Sentinels day to make a statement?
This is one of the few last days you have left to make a statement. You have no other choice at this point. All eyes are on Sentinel to see if they could pull themselves together. I'm excited to see what Sentinels has up their sleeve, because I feel like if there's going to be a team that's going to make one last stretch to at least put their name on the board, it's definitely Sentinels, and it has to be Sentinels at this point.
And we've also got Optic Gaming. We've mentioned a lot about them. There's just so many storylines heading into this, and we do appreciate you hanging on with us. We are ready. We're getting ready to get into games, so that's why we're kind of running these storylines by us. So we don't want this to start. It is happening on the back end, but there's just still a lot to talk about, even while we bridge the gap and continue it. And I think shifting away from some of the teams, we have to look at some of the metas and the differences between North America and EMEA. I think when you kind of start to highlight that, I remember in the cast, John, you were talking a little bit about earlier how EMEA and North America have almost switched paces, where we used to see like this kind of steadiness and the slow pace here in EMEA, and then North America would be a little bit more avant-garde and aggressive. We're actually seeing a swap there. The highest total point, I think, in all of North America has been 68. Compare that to 100 now in Ascend, and some of these major games that I think they've had 3 winners over 70 points. Maybe North America needs to step up some of the aggressiveness, and that's what's happening to these teams.
Yeah, it's been so interesting. I mean, we've had multiple 19 kill games, 17 to 19 kill games in EMEA. We have yet to have a 17 kill first place finish game in North America. I think the highest point total has been maybe like 26 to 28. So maybe 12 to 15 kills. So it's really interesting how things have changed a little bit. And overall, team comps will be interesting coming into this one. And again, Randy hit the nail on the head. Apologies for the delays, everybody. We had a game restart, obviously, against our control. And game did restart, but good news is game, hopefully, fingers crossed, is starting here in a second. But it's our sincere apologies for the delays, y'all.
And Vicky, let's talk to you. I want to talk the meta, because we had such highlights of Kashira doing well on crypto. We also then saw a switch up from KCP. I don't believe they were playing crypto the entire time, but I think they made that switch towards game 5 and then game 6 and started to see some real impacts. Actually took down kind of a counter ultimate with crypto's EMP after Ascended, cleaned up that last win to put themselves in a second place position. Will we see more cryptos in North America? Are we continuing to see, just a shout at the Lobas, shout at a couple of these other meta picks that North America seem to go for?
I don't think we're going to see a lot of crypto in North America. I feel like we've been seeing more of the crypto implemented in other regions, and I think that these other regions are ahead of the game when it comes to utilizing the crypto EMT timing to negate the seer ults. That's something that we aren't seeing as often in North America. We're going to have to wait to see before we dive into game number 1, but I'm not expecting to see a lot of the cryptos, because looking at the limited scrims that I have been able to see for North America, I rarely see Crypto in general, but what we do see a lot, Valkyrie always has been a mainstay character in a lot of these comps. Seer obviously still remains incredibly strong in North America, and the Wattson. And what negates the Wattson fences? It's gotta be the Crypto EMPs.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've waited long enough. We've talked and set it up as much as we could. It is time to kick off day number 5 here in the ALGS in North America, and we have Fallout and Vicky Kitty to kick off match 1.
Thank you so much, Rain Day. Best in the game when it comes to hosting as we're dropping across Storm Point here to kick off game number 1 of North American Pro League here in the ALGS. Let's get right to it. The information, the stats that you want to know. We got 2 Crypto teams, so not just the Guard, but I believe First Attempt also rocking Crypto. 2 Loba teams. We have Albralelli on Bangalore. 4 Bangalore teams in total, but different than EMEA, you got a 95% pick rate. That's what I kind of mentioned in the EMEA broadcast. As an NA, it's typically 95 to 100%. Valkyrie pick rate, 95%. Only 45% of teams are rocking Seer, 40% on Wattson, and then of course Horizon is in 4th with 35%. You'll see a little bit of Rampart and a little bit of Catalyst, 1 team with Gibraltar as well.
So interesting to see how that plays out as we get to look at where our circle is going to be taking us. We're taking a trip down south, though, and G2 and Bots are looking very happy because they have the beacon right next to them. So Bots is already going to know exactly where the circle is going to be pulling. G2 neighboring right next door to them. So that shipfall area is going to be highly contested real quick.
As we're on board with Sentinels, a team that needs to perform today. Vicky, I think you said it perfectly in the pre-show. The reality is this is a must-perform. We say that often, or we throw that around pretty loosely, but for Sentinels, quite literally a must-perform day. They're in 28th place overall right now, and if they don't perform today, if they don't have a chance to get at least 12 to 20 points, they're completely out of contention, or close to out of contention, and it's going to make it very difficult for them. They're going to need multiple first to 5th place finishes in the last few days, and obviously a controversial roster change. The decision to drop Lou from this team, Tech, the coach, stepping in as their substitute until they find a third was a huge roster change, monumental. I have a hard time agreeing with it overall. Obviously, you didn't have the performances you want, but at least give them half a season to get there, in my eyes. And Lou always kind of tends to be scapegoated on these teams, and I'm not sure exactly why. There must be something going on, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I love how you were able to actually talk to Lou, gather his thoughts and his mindset towards competition. Of course, Lou being a former member of Sentinels, having to look over to see what the rest of Sentinels is going to just do from the sidelines here. As Sentinels are just going to take their time to loot up. Nice to note in that replicator is that purple extended heavy mag, as well as the 2x scope. It's going to be a favorite for a lot of these players for some of these weapons, especially with the Flatline having that anvil receiver right back. You see them with the quick rotations, though. They're going to have to travel pretty quickly, though, because just like we noted already earlier on, this circle is going all the way down south towards Shipfall. Sometimes it lands on top of that rock that is in the choke point between Gale Station and Shipfall, so that's going to be contended very quickly.
Yeah, a couple things that are important to note here. Everyone, your prayers came true. G2 not contested. G2 does not have to worry about BR Demons today. They'll have a chance to get Barometer for free, and obviously the fight at Barometer against BR Demons did not go well for them last time around. They lost all 3 games in a row. Another thing is Luminosity drops Fish Farms and Gale Station for free. They get the entirety of that loot. MPS will be dropping Shipfall. Space Station will be just north of LG and Launchpad, so expect them to maybe contest each other or butt heads in the rotation.
Love you make that note too. G2 being one of those squads that are running the Bloodhound and Bangalore composition, something that we don't really get to see very often in North America. NRG are just going to be able to loot the vault, taking their time, also being able to boost up their evil shields too. All that little bit of extra damage if you can here. G7 being one of my favorite weapons in the hands of Guild, also with the Skyward Dive, so they're going to be taking their time before they end up rotating on the outskirts of this vault. But while they are doing that, a lot of other teams are already making their way into that next circle who have already had the information from scanning some of these beacons.
That's right, switching over to our reigning and defending champs, the Guard, who is on top as a result of our last time that all 3 groups had an even amount of games played. We mentioned that again in the pre-show here. They've been playing so well. The only team in North America to play Crypto for the longest time until now. I believe First Attempt will also be rocking Crypto. This is a team that picked up Keon. It's very similar, flavor of the month or common trend. Find a demon ranked controller grinder as your third. It worked for Team Liquid early, picking up Gildersons, and ever since then, we've seen Ascend. We've seen so many others do the same exact thing. Ascend with Lufka, the Guard picking up Keon, Complexity picking up Luxford. That seems to be the formula that is very successful. 2 mouse and keyboard players, 1 controller player on the squad.
Huge here. You can see some knocks going down in the feed here too for Sentinels. Looks like Tech is going to be able to find that successful for the rest of Sentinels. We talked about them, and they're finding it here. Fallout getting 2 knocks at the same time. Complexity in the middle of the rotation, but I really want to take a look at what's going on with Sentinels because they're coming in from the northern side of the entire map. So wondering if with that Skyward Dive that they were able to get involved in some sort of fight in the middle of this rotation.
Well, Vicky, here's what happened. The 28th place team killed the 30th place team. Sentinels defeats Slept On, who comes into today's competition in last place in the Pro League. That's a good start for them. And if you're going to bump into any team, that's a solid team to really gain some confidence, gain some early kills, some early momentum. Shot to Sentinels. 3 kills for them in a day that we keep talking about is a must-perform day for this squad. Rambo here, playing alongside RKN and Keon with the very early rotation. They're going to take all of this location, put some Watson fences up, and quite a good perimeter for them, but they opt actually to take that Valkyrie and rotate even deeper into this zone. They're predicting this to pull even further.
Here we go, Guard now with this rotate. Like we mentioned before, with the circle pulling towards the south of Barometer, the Skyward Dive could be a little risky with so many squads already taking up the southern part of this next circle. Free building here though, and this is perfect for the Guard. With the Watson composition, they're just going to be able to fence up. You see the charge rifle in the hands of Rambo. He's got the 3-time scope as well, so they're going to be able to farm these evil shields quickly while being able to station up inside of this building without really having to overextend.
Sykes finds himself getting a kill. And it's going to be on Dark Zero. Sharky goes down as well. Just like that, DZ eliminated from this lobby to the hands of Team Liquid. As far south as you can go, so far south that you see the black line of Abyss in the minimap right now. As you see, Team Liquid gets themselves 3 KP, and not only that, but such a great position for them. TL find themselves in a really good spot. And the fact that they did this, they got this positioning, Vicky, rotating all the way from Cascade Falls is insane. They're running the Loba and Newcastle team comp alongside Nocturnal on Valkyrie for rotates, and TL in a really good spot here in game number 1.
And what I love the most about this here is that with Team Liquid rocking the Loba, you know that their game plan is to get to that final circle positioning as quickly as possible, settle down, and then utilize that black market to get any additional loot since they're denying themselves the loot in exchange for them holding on to that final circle position. They're not going to be able to give up this spot, but they are going to be able to poke from afar, and this works perfectly with their comp. Yeah, they don't have the Watson, but they got the Loba and they got the Newcastle for those walls of extra protection. Optic Gaming, though, taking a little bit of an unorthodox rotation. They're going all the way from the back end here, maybe expecting a Skyward Dive, or if they just want to inch forward. I mean, the circle is right there, and it doesn't look like they have the information of that next circle, but they're getting pinged by charge rifles from right across the water.
Yeah, they're taking Shipfall to a whole new level right now, just literally using any piece of fragment that they can for cover in the storm right now. It is a rocky road and adventure for this squad in the waters here. Turbulent waters indeed. Optic Gaming has the Guard, has Team Liquid and Oxygen Esports all gatekeeping them. It is not looking good for Optic here in game number 1. We'll see if they can work their way out of this one.
Where do they go here with the buildings being taken up? They don't have a Watson to settle down either. They're getting pinged by a charger right across the field. Skittlecakes is literally dancing, but Noct can't say the same. Can't bunny hop the way that Horizon can sometimes. The Missile Swarmer is going to be able to try to tag them up, but great cover behind the rocks. You have to pop up this medkit before you go for the res. Duplex is going to handle that himself, but the charge rifle is just a nuisance.
Wow. And they're all able to survive here and find a moment of respite. Heal back up and hit reset. No, the Arcstar almost knocks, but Skittle goes down. And there he is. We said multiple teams are third partying. It's the Guard, it's Oxygen, it's Liquid. Well, it looks like Nano is going to join the party. CLG and Oxygen take out 2. And the last member alive is Duplex for Optic, but not looking good. Optic should be eliminated here momentarily.
Dupe being the last one alive here for this team. This is not the start I was expecting from Optic Gaming. Yeah, I got to take that yeet cannon real quick. My calling is somewhere else, and it is not in this side of this lobby. I'm so sorry, but backing up from here and taking that gravity cannon is going to be great because you're going to be able to get this res onto Skittlecakes. And something that we have been seeing a lot from Optic Gaming, even though they've been struggling a lot, is them playing things out as a duo. And so Duplex and Skittlecakes still being alive is great news for them, and the mobile respawn beacon as it just made its way outside of the crafting table. So now with Optic Gaming having that mobile respawn that they picked up off the ground, they're going to be able to get knocked back in after getting his banner.
Wow. This is what I call the Optic special, Vicky. They're in shambles. There's no way they should survive. But not only do they survive, they get the res, and they will get a mobile respawn picked up on their third. Optic still has a chance in this game, which I never would have thought would have happened, and most other teams would not have had, given the situation that they were in. Kudos to them for being able to survive and make it to fight another day. We'll see if they can somehow, some way turn this into a top 3 finish. As now NRG find their way in themselves, rotating all the way from the northwest side of the map. NRG will find their way into Barometer, which we know G2 drops and likely is still set up in.
I'm questioning here that, yeah, they were passing Optic Gaming here, so Rack Attack actually are the squad that comes across Optic Gaming. They finish off Duplex, which just leaves Optic as a split-up duo to scramble around for some extra points. Rack Attack also playing this as a duo, so we got 2 duos already in this lobby, 18 squads left, down to those 2 squads that we saw earlier. I believe FaZe is also in the area here too, but the Skyward Dive from Rack Attack is just going to get them out of the sticky situation.
Yeah, Rack Attack says, I want nothing of this 3-way fight. I'm just going to avoid it entirely, and they'll hit a rotation. Again, playing as a duo maybe will be difficult for them. Meanwhile, FaZe also decides to rotate out, so just like that, Optic survives again. They lose 1, they get another casualty, and gosh, how many lives does Optic have? They're like the cat of Apex Legends. 9 lives, it seems like, here, and they're on their 3rd.
First time's not enough. The second time, definitely not enough. If I were Optic Gaming, I'd be feeling a type of way if this is the way that the first game is gonna go down for them. It's a definite rough start for Optic Gaming, but they do manage to survive. They're gonna have to fight their way outside of the circle, race against time. FaZe, though, already made their way into that next circle. Believe we did see them take the Skyward Dive earlier in that mini-map. Optic Gaming did manage to get the banner from Duplex. Can they get the res? That's the question here. Wondering if they were able to pick another one off the ground.
And here's the interesting thing. It's Sunday, Vic. You know what that means?
Change up on the rotation?
Yeah. How'd you know I was going to say that? That's actually insane. Kudos to you.
That's right.
The crafter, the replicator just changed. Literally today. It was a Moby in there all week, as y'all have been playing ranked, probably are aware of. There was a Moby in there all week. The Moby is no longer in there. Mobile respawn beacon replaced with a backpack and a purple helmet. So Optic used their 1 mobile respawn and won't be able to craft themselves another as we switch on over to NRG. Find themselves in a fight early. Nathan goes down. Sweet is down. All up to Guild, the 1-clip wonder.
Trying to trade that, though. You see Impulse going down in the feed here earlier on, too. Guild, with that Arc Star, just trying to create that as some extra insurance. It's going to be up to Bowser to be able to actually clutch this off, but he doesn't have the health advantages that Guild does.
That's right. Oh, Guild didn't stick the res. I think he could have. Didn't obviously have the intel. Heard someone creeping up on him. So instead, Guild finds himself in a 1v1. Full red Evo shield helps him out, and he's Gilderson's, known for being one of the best 1v1 players in the firing range and in Apex. But looks like Bowser is going to actually sneak his way out. I'm not sure if Bowser decided not to fight this. He'll get the res on Sweet. No syringes to his name. Wow.
Yeah, no syringes, no medkit. Now Guild, he wanted to try to go for the res, but isn't able to do it. It's against another Valkyrie who just easily take to the high ground as Bowser's going to try to find his way to actually get tricky with it. But this fight is lasting for way too long. Racket taken out, and it's by the hands of G2, who landed Barometer, who hear this fight, and are looking to pick up another scratch. Remember, that is Guild. And they clean up energy with G2 taking some extra KP to their name.
Yeah, G2 says, enough of this cat and mouse nonsense. Let's just come through and eat them all up. Designful's a big turtle or an elephant or something, as it looks like they're going to take out all 3. G2 eliminating Rack Attack as well as NRG and getting themselves a couple KP. 4 points for them. But keep in mind that score at the left of your screen by G2 is real-time updated, courtesy of a pretty awesome API from Respawn. They only have 4 from 4 kill points because 17th through 20th does not earn you a placement point. If they get to 15th, they'll get themselves 1 placement point, and that'll continue to update in real time. So real-time information for y'all watching either via the main broadcast or through multiview.
Also nice to know in the overall standings at the moment, G2 does stand in 18th overall, so all this extra KP is amazing for them. They want to be in the top 9. They don't want to risk having to fight in that regional final where they need to get that 10th spot. Team Smiley being another one of those squads that we've been looking at, sitting 25th overall in the red zone that they need to perform today. Nice little arc star. You have to back up here if you're Blanku. Tries to get away, gets tagged just a little bit though, tries to go for a reset, but in the line of sight of Sentinels, who are now fighting to claim even more heads.
Optic officially not the feline of Apex. They get taken out in after their 3rd life. Optic Gaming eliminated. Sentinels continues to light it up. Here we are. Sentinels showing some great life here as they find themselves a full kill on Gambit. That's going to be Team Slept On. Nice job for them.
15 squads left. It's nice to know it's NRG, Rack Attack, Dark Zero, Optic Gaming, and Slept On that are off of this lobby right now.
Yeah, Smiley, not Slept On, my bad.
Yeah, it's right here. So Sentinels now going to be playing off the low ground currently. Seer, Valkyrie, and Horizon still remain prevalent in this NA lobby. We were talking about team comps earlier on. G2 still cleaning up more heads, it looks like. First attempt getting wiped out. G2 with a quick little shield swap right here. Resulto playing on the edge of the circle.
Yeah, Resulta and G2 are saying, look, if we actually have a chance to play a game and make it to late game, this is what happens. But right now in their hardest fight, Divi, though, going to get absolutely melted by Resulta. He makes a play. Nano is next. He gets taken out of 20 HP. What a fight right now, but no, ultimately G2 gets knocked. G2 is going to somehow take out CLG in that fight where they had the complete disadvantage. They are on fire.
Are you kidding me? The immediate turnaround into you think you could push us? CLG getting wiped out right now. They lose out on design, but that's fine. You could go in for a reset here. You could try to find an opportunity to loot up from these boxes, if anything. Don't think they have a mobile respawn to work with, but they are going to be able to walk away with some more of that extra KP that we keep highlighting is so important for a team like G2 right now.
Back to my point. Look what happens when G2 makes it past the 3-minute mark. Miraculous things. 7 kills to their name already, plus placement point. G2 is playing unbelievably right now. Their pickup of Chaotic Much from the UK, moving to the US, has been a great one. Team Smiley, though, find themselves in a literal crevice, in a terrible position, and Song is going to get taken out here. Looks like, it's going to be Space Station that gets themselves 2 more KP, and Sentinels Tech gets a knock on Scurry, so it looks like Sentinels continues to farm elsewhere in the lobby.
I believe that's going to be 100 Thieves over by the other side of Shipfall. Yes, it is. Sentinels have the high ground advantage at the moment, and with that fight done from Space Station, you know that Space Station is going to start rotating over here to get involved in this fight. All these squads are not in the next circle. Huge crack right there off the grenade here. 100 Thieves getting cleaned up. Sentinels taking nice off angles to ensure that that was a quick fight, because here comes Space Station making their way into this fight now.
You know, Vicky, Sentinels, well, perhaps they're like an old engine, you know, like a Volkswagen from the 1980s or something. You know, perhaps it just takes a little time to rev them up, maybe like 5 weeks of Pro League, and then once that thing gets going, it's going. Right now, Sentinels is flying. 4 kills to their name, top 10, but they have themselves a challenge. It's Space Station Gaming right nearby. SSG versus Sentinels in a 3v3.
Listen, Palau, Tech said, if you gotta do something, you gotta do it yourself sometimes. And Tech is out here on the Seer. He's getting pinged from the high ground, though. You gotta look out. It's Space Station holding that nice choke point. Where is Sentinels gonna go? They have to try to get into this next circle, but they have to put themselves in a rather revealing situation and position if they want to go into their line of sight.
Yeah, Sentinels find themselves in their most difficult position yet. Let's jump into a listen-in with Sentinels. Big Brain Tech. See how they handle it.
Tier 1, tier 1, tier 1!
Back in the smoke. Well cracked. Get these kills.
One dead, one dead.
Seriously,
walking up, walking up.
He's one.
You're dead.
Nice.
One.
At the bat.
Yep.
Shield. On shield.
Valk weak.
Just one guy.
Valk one. You have to kill her. Nice.
Get in the corner,
Res me right here. Res me right here.
I'll peek.
Res me first.
Good,
Go back.
you're good.
Go back.
Okay.
Nice.
I can't get up. You have to res me in here.
I'm gonna shoot for you while you res, okay? I'm not gonna heal. Stick it.
What's up,
You're good.
Tech?
You're good. Just stick
Alright,
it. Popping a bat now.
Popping bad. I need to loot. I have no ammo left.
This walk up is.
Same.
Good fight. My bad. I shouldn't have gone down.
You're good. Go up or no? Oh, so do you want to try to get to this heady or what?
Yeah, we
It's just
should.
one guy sitting on the rock. I'm gonna pop this
Go,
medi.
walk up. I'll shoot for you guys.
Back
Walk up.
first.
Two of them staring at us. We need to pop a bat. Actually, I need a slow heal.
I'm going now.
Yeah, coming.
We can shoot for you once we get up.
Yeah.
And what a listening that was with Sentinels, presented by WD Black. Had so much insight into this squad, that rotation, and you know what? Willingness to take some humility. Saying, my bad for getting knocked, I shouldn't have there. And yeah, in a 1v3, you got to stay up in some scenario, but Sentinels able to reset to full. 4 squads remain. We got Luminosity, MPS, Team Liquid, and Sentinels in this lobby for the win in game number 1.
And Luminosity are in the edge of that next circle. They were in this building for quite some time. They just disengaged after they saw some chaos happen between Complexity. Sentinels are now making their way over to see what's happening with Luminosity, but they have the high ground. They have the rooftop in their favor. They have to look out to the squad that's right behind them. That's going to be Team Liquid, who are holding the southern side of the circle uncontested. So Luminosity in this fight may find themselves getting third parties, but they're rocking the Bangalore, where the smoke is going to be able to give them some extra cover to work with.
That's right. LG does so well in these southern zones. Not only are they able to obviously take the entirety of the southeast of loot with Fish Farms, with Gale Station, but they're able to also get Godspot and pick up some kills along the way. Here comes the fight, though. Team Liquid, this is a similar zone to what we saw TL walk in on and win last week when they went back-to-back. We'll see if they can do it again here. TL's in a really good spot.
Yeah, Team Liquid, again, they have no reason to overextend right now. They know that there's no squad that's going to sandwich them, unlike Sentinels right now that are playing off the low ground, Luminosity, who are playing on the outskirts of this building. They're seeing the situation, and they don't want to get heavily involved because that's going to enable Team Liquid to actually contest them as a third party. So it looks like they're just going to be standing back, allowing Sentinels to now take up this space, deal with the squad that's inside that's going to be MPS.
Yeah, that's right. That ult from Seer gave them all the intel that they needed, so they know exactly where MPS is inside. They know that Luminosity is on the other side of that building. All three of these teams are going to sit there and fight, and guess what? Liquid's just going to profit. They're just going to sit here and watch, poke and prod from afar, but TL find themselves in a very, very good position to win this game, while all the other three are going to be in a bloodbath.
Market's looking great right now. So free for Team Liquid because they are just taking up all this space for no extra charge. Luminosity on the high ground still. Looking at where Team Liquid is, I like the fact that Luminosity haven't really overextended just because they have made aware of where Team Liquid is. But they may not have a choice with the circle closing into their back. They want to be able to capitalize off of this extra KP.
4 Newcastle teams, 2 of them, 50% make it to the late game here. MPS with Newcastle alongside Team Liquid. Ascend just dominated with Newcastle on Storm Point in our EMEA region, showcasing the stock of Newcastle rising in real time here. Shubi, newest addition to this team, as Luda no longer on this team. Has to go big for this squad right now. Join them from Blackhand. Here comes the fight. It's going to be Shubi taking out Tech. Tech decides to initiate and gets knocked early, but it's going to be last alive. I'm Madness, the IGL for this team, down to 40 HP in some way, somehow. Able to survive. Senon's not going to do it. They get taken out alongside MPS. LG remains, and now we have a clean 3v3, Vicky.
Yes, they do, and you know what's coming in. It's the Bangalore Smoke. It's the Bloodhound Beast of the Hunt popped. Team Liquid now are trying to find a way to go in, but it's the Rolling Thunder. That's the insurance. Nocturnal gets taken down. Luminosity now are going to be able to negate the third-party opportunity that Team Liquid really wanted in this situation.
And Luminosity Gaming does it in a game that they had no business winning, with Team Liquid in a great position. LG sneaks it away. The Digi threat was huge right there, Vicky. All the intel plus the Bangalore Smoke. And just like that, LG picks up right where they left off last Pro League day with a first place dominant victory.
The Digi threat, the Beast of the Hunt, Bloodhound scans. Are you kidding me? The team comp working beautifully for Luminosity. And let's not forget the interview that we had with Luminosity when they had their pop-off day. It's not about what comp is really good for Luminosity. No, they stated they want to play with whatever feels right to them, whatever they have fun with. And look at that. It paid off at the very end of that game number 1.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. There are one of 2 teams running Bangalore. Sorry, one of 4 teams running Bangalore. One of 2 teams running Bloodhound. They don't care what the flavor of the month is. They don't care what is in meta. They play a team comp that works well for them, and it showed right there. I mean, they're a fragging team, a team that is so good at close range and in these close range fights. And why not play Bangalore? Why not play Bloodhound? Why not give yourself all that information and play to your play style? That's exactly what LG did right there. And to be fair, Team Liquid does the same thing. The Team Liquid's play style is smart, really outsmarting and outwitting your opponents. And I think the Newcastle and Loba team comp works well for them, getting loot and making it to late game. But LG had the better fighting team comp, and LG won that 3v3.
Yeah, and we saw what could have happened with the Newcastle. What didn't happen, though, thanks to the Digi threat and the information that was coming in from Luminosity. And also, we got to highlight Sentinels having a pop-off game number 1. They needed that. After our setup, though, leading into this very first game, Sentinels are able to really ramp up. And I feel like Sentinels are one of those teams where if they do gather that momentum, they can have a really pop-off day.
Yeah, that's a good point. What I couldn't tell in the chaos was, did they get 3rd or 4th? Because if they got 3rd, Vicky, that's obviously the difference of 2 placement points, but it's also the difference of the 3 kills that I think they would have gotten, or at least 2 kills they would have gotten over MPS. So we'll take a look here at the highlights, hopefully see it in the chaos, or we'll see it in the overall standings. A really good game for Sentinels, though.
Yeah, and as we take a look at the highlights here, we notice that Team Liquid took that final circle positioning from the very beginning. It goes all into their game plan when it comes to rocking the Loba on Storm Point. We talked about it before. They always want to get that final circle positioning. The charge rifle beams as well, coming in from left to right from a lot of squads across Barometer in these open grounds. We see it notably here on Storm Point, especially when it comes to trying to stop and pressure out a lot of these Skyward guys from these Valkyries. G2 also fully sending it on a squad after they were trying to to get sent on by another team, they immediately turned around and stopped the third party from happening.
And I hope we see this from Resulta's point of view. No, Resulta was in shambles, in a terrible spot, but somehow turned it into a one clip that he was able to get to break ice, and they somehow win that fight. I mean, G2 with a great 3v3 right there. They get 7 kill points at least. That's a big game for them. Meanwhile, Space Station picked up a couple 2 easy kills against Smiley, and then ended up finding themselves in a fight against Sentinels after they took out Team 100 Thieves here. And in the end, Zenile almost went insane with a 1v3 clutch, literally 10 HP away from doing it, but ultimately got taken out there in the 1v1.
Even FaZe, just having Albert Lily just be the only lone survivor, but you have another squad to worry about at the same time. They get cleaned up. A lot of the chaos at the very end right here, but Luminosity specifically got to highlight. Yanya still continues to dominate in these lobbies, and I'm always impressed every single time.
Yeah, I agree. And here's this fight between Sentinels and MPS. I'm trying to see here. Senox here leads himself and Crust alive. I think Sentinels got third. Senox was last alive in this scenario. And the first team eliminated is MPS. Okay, so Sentinels does get themselves an additional 2 kill points and the placement point, which is big. And here's the final moment. We didn't see the Digi-Threat moment, which was crucial. But LG, all down to like 50 HP total, could have lost that fight, but played it really, really wide, played some angles like the Insanes back in the day, and find themselves on top. And guess what? An insane game for them. 20 points, first place, 8 kills for them. Sentinels, though, with 12 kills, G2 with 13. Are you kidding me? This is the North America we know and love, Vicky.
Yep, Sentinels 12 kills though, double digits. That's insane. That sets them right behind Luminosity. Even though they didn't get that second place finish, even though they didn't get that W, they still get 19 points to their name thanks to those 12 extra points and getting third place.
Yeah, massive game for them. Take a look at the second page, though. A couple teams you'd expect to be there. Once again, NRG and Optic, the two we had circled going into today's competition, not getting the game one that they wanted. Dark Zero joins them as they got taken out early by Team Liquid. We didn't see the whole fight, but Team Liquid was able to win that skirmish. 100 Thieves falls in 11th place total, gets himself just 1 placement point. So a lot of these teams on this second page, not the best start for them, but certainly 5 more games. There's a lot of Apex to be played, Vicky.
Yeah, really rough game for Optic Gaming. They definitely didn't have the start that they wanted. As you can see right now, the scores, Luminosity on top of Sentinels, just 1 point away. No big gap created just yet after that first game, but we are just getting started here on Stormpoint.
FaZe Clan in 6th place overall with 6 points. So a solid start for them. We didn't catch a whole lot of them on screen, but this is a really, really important game for them, really important series for them. They're in 20th place right now on the fringe. Keep in mind, they're part of Group C, who has 1 less Pro League day of play. But if FaZe is able to break into a top 5, top 10 finish here, they'll certainly earn themselves a spot in the regional finals if they can keep this consistency that we've seen so far. But all eyes on this FaZe roster. A lot of discussion right now of tripods, Nick Merckx representing FaZe Clan, this FaZe Clan roster. Is this the right roster for FaZe? I think just give this team time is all that they need. I think Albert Lely is going to continue to grow as an IGL. Very, very humble. I'm excited to see how FaZe will evolve. I'm also excited to see how the gameplay evolves. We got 5 games left, 2 more on Stormpoint, 3 on World's Edge after that. I'm Fallout alongside my duo, Vicky Kitty. Hope you're enjoying the action so far, but we're going to take a very quick break. When we come back, game number 2 right after this. WD Black, the official storage partner of the Apex Legends Global Series. Welcome back, everybody, to the Apex Legends Global Series Pro League. This is North American action. This is day number 5, Groups A versus Group C. And so far, it's LG who dominated just like they did in their day 3 competition, Vicky.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what game 2 is going to look like right now because LG continuously remain on top, but also Team Liquid. When we talk about consistency is key, this is a team that's overall second in the overall standings here in North America, and they did get second place. Yeah, they didn't take the dub, but they have been able to maintain second place, running the Loba, getting that final circle positioning, and prioritizing God spot for themselves. Unfortunately for that last fight, though, I don't think they were ready for LG's team comp between the Bangalore Smoke and the Bloodhound Scans.
Yeah, that's a good point. And that's a good reminder, too. Team Liquid stole the show on Stormpoint last Pro League day. They dominated, won 2 out of 3, but when it came to World's Edge, they couldn't close it out. TSM ended up winning the overall day of competition. So will that happen again here? They're always very good on Stormpoint. We'll see how their World's Edge is in games 4 through 6. But I also love, as we take a look at the overhead map, the top right of this overhead map, Sentinels. I love how we actually tracked their entire journey. We started with them early in the game. Obviously, it's a big story highlighting them in 28th place in Pro League right now, and we watched them get their 13-kill third place finish, a really, really solid showing from Sentinels. I'm glad we were able to catch that last game as well, Vicky.
Yeah, it's nice to see also the difference in just the different compositions that we've also been able to see. No crypto like we saw in the EMEA region. I mean, rather, there was just what? 1 or 2 cryptos in just 1 or 2 teams in general that were rocking the crypto. But compared to what we saw in the EMEA region, we saw a dominating lobby of just cryptos. Lots of Seers still being played out. And now we get to see where this next circle is going to be pulling. It's going to be pulling towards 100 Thieves, who had a bit of a lackluster performance, getting just hailed down upon by a bunch of these grenades coming in from Space Station. Now they're going to be able to hang out in Command Center. Complexity, though, in trouble. We tuned into that the moment that they dropped. It was Space Station Gaming that actually had gotten Monsoon. So Complexity having an actual rough start to this game.
Yeah, you heard all we heard was the worst sound in all video games. The gong of getting taken out and your banner getting eliminated. Monsoon out early, and that's interesting. I don't know if Space Station actually ran a trick strat there, much like we saw. I can't remember what team it was that kept running trick strats in the northeast side of the map. I think it was BR Demons or someone else. But nonetheless, Space Station maybe knew that Complexity dropped there and said, let's just get this easy kill point. I'm not sure what exactly happened, but Space Station normally drops Launchpad. They instead drop a little bit west and north of Launchpad and get the kill over Monsoon.
Actually insane right here. Complexity, as you can see right now, as that score is going to be updated in real time. Number 8 overall with 4 points right now after that first game. You can see them rotating. They weren't able to get the banner just yet, but that's what they're doing right now. They're on the way to see if they could possibly get it. See the beacon also right there. See if Lux is going to be able to get that scan before Complexity make their next move.
Yeah, and Shiny will be able to get this banner uncontested. Playing it slow just to be safe. Space Station's nearby, but not necessarily in the building or in the vicinity here. And Monsoon also helped that he got taken out in a good spot. If you're going to die early, if you're going to die in general in Apex, especially my ranked teammates, this is a message to all of you. Please die in a place that is retrievable of your banner, not in the middle of the open.
Yeah.
Halfway through Jurassic Park, please. It looks like Complexity will get this res. But Space Station will hear it. A couple other teams will hear it nearby as well, and we'll see if they decide to ape in third party or if they let things be. We'll be back to a full 60 in this lobby overall.
We're gonna have to see, because I know the guard makes a rotation around here too. There is a beacon to the north of Complexity, so you could expect this side to get hot real quick. See Complexity just taking their time as we take a look at Space Station, who are just making their way after taking out Monsoon. Drop just scanning right behind them real quick with the heartbeat sensor. But they're gonna be able to wrap around from the low to high ground here of the Launchpad, so that way they're going to be able to get to the other side. There's another beacon to the right of Complexity like we mentioned before, so if anything they can also get that next set of information for the next circle.
Yeah, that's right. Although he switched over to Space Station, I was wondering if they would be the one squad that would decide to ape or third party Complexity, but nope. Complexity will be back to full force. All teams reset here. And another early game quiet start in this lobby on Stormpoint. No contests. We've had some exciting ones here in North America. We've had a big fight over in Barometer. We've had some fights over in Lightning Rod. We saw Tripods versus Sentinels on World's Edge, which was obviously a blast to watch, but this time around will not be the case. Things are starting to neutralize a little bit. And that's one thing that's kind of cool about the Pro League format, Vicky, is, you know, 2 things. One, different groups obviously have different drop spots, and you're gonna have to adjust to your play style depending on who you're playing. But then 2, over time of the Pro League, things kind of settle. Things neutralize a little bit, and you see a lot less of these initial fights because people start to realize who's dropping where.
Yeah, especially because of how risky those 50-50s earlier on are, too. Because when you want to build up at least a lead, you want to make sure you do it in the first initial games on Stormpoint before you feel like you're scrambling for last-minute points on World's Edge for game 4 through 6. So we take a look at Dark Zero, one of our other squads that we were highlighting in the pre-show right now. Going to be hanging out on the outskirts of Bunker. They are literally painting the map right now with Sharky's Watson fences. And they're not going to be leaving from this spot too, because they're on the north side of this map. They can try to negate any sort of rotation from any of the squads that want to get into command center that land by the wall.
Yeah, and if we could actually pull up that overhead map, I'd love to take a look here at this zone where it's pulling and where teams are settling, and kind of walk through and maybe explain to some of the viewers who are maybe newer to competitive Apex why teams are doing what they're doing. And thank you so much for that. So taking a look at the top left there, you'll see it's a zone that is pulling central but slightly north. Teams are predicting that northern pull, and ultimately a team like 100 Thieves, who dropped Command Center, opted to take the upstairs area of Command Center with the choke point that leads up to High Point, and that's going to be their position. It's one of the best and most fortified positions, especially with that 100 Thieves team composition of Newcastle and Crypto. Meanwhile, and Watson. Meanwhile, Dark Zero drops in Stormcatcher, so that's why you saw them as one of the best positioned teams. They're able to rotate quick, and same with Team Liquid. All the teams that drop in the center of the map really profited with this central zone, Vicky.
Yeah, that, and sometimes when you have the beacon and Stormcatcher, Dark Zero was able to call out where this circle was going to be pulling originally because they had that information. So it's great on them to be able to actually contest on this side of Command Center, because this also leads them in a position where they're least likely to get contested by other squads, where they're least likely to get sandwiched by other teams in the middle of their own rotate, in case the circle continuously pulls more towards the south in between Stormcatcher and Command Center.
Yeah, and then one last thing as we have this up, I'm going to draw your eyes to the west of the map where you see FaZe and Rack Attack in zone right now. Well, these are edge fighting teams. FaZe running Bangalore and Alberlelli means that they're going to opt to play edge and take their fights much more than they're going to opt to play early rotate, which is why you see these teams like CLG, Oxygen, FaZe, Rack Attack, and others still in zone. It's obviously going to be a really tough fight. CLG versus Oxygen find themselves in a deep, deep skirmish all the way in Cenote Cave, Vicky.
I'm mostly concerned of the squads that are going to be playing on the edge of this circle, who are already in that next circle, and are going to basically see all these squads fighting outside of the circle as an early Christmas morning for them. All the free KP for them to actually contest. Like the likes of G2, who are actually been playing on the edge of the circle so far. They're also going to have Beacon once they get to Jurassic Park. But as we take a look at Luminosity, they're just emoting, you know? They're just having some fun. They're going to take their time as we tune into Space Station, who are doing some other things. A lot of these squads are just trying to situate themselves in terms of loot. They're not the ones rocking the logo like we have seen from Team Liquid that like to get to that final circle positioning where they aren't, you know, granted the loot that they need from the black market. So some of these squads are already making their rotation, though. Complexity with the Skyward Dive, not rocking the best shields, and Shining falling incredibly low. He falls from the sky. Nothing to save him as Complexity passed 3 other teams.
Monsoon gonna be knocked as well, and Complexity has just been an absolute shambles all game long. It'll continue here. Skittlecake's gonna get the knock on Monsoon. Optic is gonna profit. There'll be 2 KP picked up for Optic. The boys in green showing some life here in game 2.
Optic Gaming, they needed this, and they basically turn around when it comes to the position that Complexity is in right now. That's kind of the similar situation that Optic Gaming was in game number 1. Now they're trying to scoop up as much KP as they possibly can. They could try to finish them off. 20 squads still alive in this lobby. Optic Gaming, though, have the Rampage in the hands of Skittlecake, so they do have one of those created weapons in their favor.
Yeah, revved up as well for Skittle. They currently find themselves as the kings of the hill, top of the hill right now, with a couple teams right below them. Complexity, the last rat, is nearby. The Guard, Bots, and MPS find themselves in a fight. We're going to jump to that fight. Here we go. Jalone's going to be knocked early. The New Yorker collegiate baseball player. Now it's going to be Shubi and Madness, though, that find themselves in a 2v2. We know that the Guard is also in the vicinity. Here comes the flank. Madness going to fry, and just like that, the Bots eliminated from this lobby. Madness now in a 1v3 against the Guard. Good luck, my friend.
Yeah, the Guard now coming in for the third party. Great timing. Madness, though, can he do it himself? The Guard fall incredibly low. It's only up to Kaon. He can pop up the shield bat if he finally manages to find his way out in the outskirts of this building, and he does manage to pop it. Is he going to be able to fully reset? Madness also reset with a quick shield swap. He's got the purple Evo, and he got the res.
Yeah, and surely Keon got that intel, right? Surely he heard the res came through. Obviously, res pop out early. Newcastle reses will help, and Keon's not going to have to reset. So Madness in a 1v2 pops off, makes it a 1v1. And obviously the Guard was damaged quite a bit in that 3-way fight. Bots clearly left their mark, but MPS showing up with 11 points to their name right now. I'm like what I'm seeing from this roster with Shubi on it.
And sending the Guard packing, literally. Running away. Hopefully we're going to see if that rat manages to get out of the way. MPS now fully stabilized, fully being able to reset. No other squad to contest, even though that fight did take a little bit of time, surprisingly. I was expecting maybe a squad coming in from Cascade Falls, since it's on the other side of that rock to their left.
Yeah, we did earlier when we saw the map. We did see CLG and Oxygen in Cenote Cave. Curious to see what's going on with that. If we could take a look at the map one more time. Or nonetheless, I'm not sure what's going on with that fight, but just keep an eye on that. Keep a close understanding. That fight did go through. Rack Attack made their rotate. FaZe going to also have rotated. Surely we saw them on the Trident. And now we find CLG in zone. Here we go. So CLG was able to make it out. Oxygen still alive as well. Looks like both teams decided not to fight. Here's our team running Catalyst. It's going to be Mamba rocking Catalyst.
Very interesting to see how the Catalyst has been a playmaker for some of these squads. I believe this is the only Catalyst that we have in the lobby right now, so CLG just trying to take a unique approach to maybe a different composition. Very similar to kind of what we saw from Fuse, you know? We saw Fuse being utilized back in playoffs, in Sweden. We saw the Mad Maggie being used up as well by one of our squads. It's always very interesting to see. I mean, of course, Furia, obviously, with the Seer, when we didn't really get to see Seer very often in competitive Apex. And this is where it all starts here. Space Station going to be able to make their rotation with the Seer, the Bangalore as well. They're going to have that information. It's kind of a very different page than what we usually see from Luminosity. Instead of the Bloodhound, it's just going to be the Seer and Bangalore instead.
Yeah, that's right. A couple differences between EMEA and North American meta as it currently stands. You see a lot more Loba in North America, a lot less crypto in North America. You saw, I think, 5-6 teams running crypto in EMEA. Just 2 today. It's going to be first attempts, as well as the Guard, of course, who's been running crypto for the entirety of Pro League, to been finding a lot of success doing so. And you see a little bit more Bangalore. We have 4 Bangalore teams right now, Frex is included.
Always interesting to see how the different type of composition also all affects the pace of the game. You can see Space Station making the rotation uphill. Skyward dive from the Guard, though, as Keon is still alive as a solo. He's passing so many teams, but he's going uphill, so he won't be able to get as much distance as he really wants. He's unable to also get the banners from the rest of his teammates, so he's just forced to play as a rat the entire time, if he can even get away.
Yeah, I guess who finds him? It's going to be G2, the Exterminators, right now. They're going to find last member of the Guard, Keon. He's going to be down to flesh, but will escape, barely, like a mosquito. Keon flaps his wings and will survive for now, as G2 is going to continue to rotate up, play an edge. Keep an eye on Keon and his journey as he's just trying to find a way in, trying to find a way to survive. Meanwhile, I want to point out, so many teams outside of zone right now. We have Complexity, we have Rack Attack, CLG, MPS, Slept-On, G2, 100 Thieves, and Sentinels, as well as NRG, but barely, all outside of zone. This is going to be a tough rotation for them as Keon's journey finally comes to an end.
Yeah, and FaZe, a lot of teams playing on the outskirts of the circle. As Guard finally get eliminated, it's going to be Keon out. FaZe get taken out as well, as CLG and FPS fully engaged on each other. We're tuning into the fight right now. You can see FPS do have the high ground. Here comes that Catalyst wall that we also got to see here from CLG. They're playing right behind it, so MPS doesn't really have the line of sight that they desire.
That's right. It's MPS, it's CLG, and Rack Attack, all within the vicinity. Another 3-way fight. Last time, MPS barely got away. Certainly not unscathed. They were able to get back to full, and right now they need to be careful because they recognize the third party's there. They make the call. Madness says, hey, back out, reset, play this slow, play this smart.
That's going to be Rack Attack right now, moving in from the high ground. MPS having to play off the low ground and off of the natural cover of these rocks. Where are they going to go? They have the Skyward Dive, but Pow Pow gets eliminated from the high ground. That's right behind them. That's still CLG that have their number right now. They're playing off the back end as FPS needs to get away. They need to be able to get out of this line of sight of Rack Attack, or they're going to get sandwiched.
Madness finds himself a little crevice, a little rat spot to heal back up. Medkit's going to be popped. Meanwhile, Shuby doesn't have the same luck. He is in zone healing up. CLG lost Dimmy. Mamba's still alive. They have the Catalyst utility to their name if they would like it. And guess what? Right by is Rack Attack. I don't know how many members of Rack Attack are alive right now, but I think all teams have a casualty.
Yeah, they got a knock right here, too. The fact that CLG was able to split their attention to MPS and then Rack Attack and still stay alive, look at the way that Nano is playing off of this rock. And he has limited ammo, too. He gets the fry, the 84, but he loses out on his shield. He needs to pop the shield battery while Mamba helps cover him.
That's right. What a fight. This has had multiple phases to this fight. And guess what? Phase number 3, the last phase, is going to be, well, I think this squad, CLG, backing out, resetting, and giving Bowser a chance to heal up. As I say that, though, CLG gets some damage in. And they know the zone's closing in on them. That's why they don't want to mess with this. And yes, that's going to be the end of this fight. The skirmish, they're going to have to say goodbye to their teammate. May you rest in peace, buddy, as Bowser and Impulse make their rotate through. CLG, Valkyrie, no more. They lose Dimmy on Valk, so they're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way by walking.
Unfortunate right there, but with the Skyward Dive, they can at least count their blessings when it comes to G2. Yeah, G2 out of this lobby. MPS also on their last legs right here. Shubi playing around the underside of the bridge, so he gets the deletion, and Rack Attack get eliminated right in the line of sight of MPS. Shubi coming in clutch and cleaning up so much KP while he's at it.
Yeah, that's right. Shubi, kill leader with 3, but you wonder for how long. Last alive, he's in zone, and can he just rat like a troll under the bridge right now? Looks like he might be able to. We'll see for how long. Yeah, Resulta just got a kill on Jaguares, but G2 got taken out, so that was a late kill. So it looks like LG, despite taking out G2, had a casualty. They lose 1. LG not in a great spot. Optic in zone. First attempt took out FaZe Clan, I believe. So FaZe is out of this lobby as well. We talked a lot about them, the importance of them performing today. Not the best. Game number 2 is they'll get taken out. Yanya is going to be a rat last alive. A lot of rats in this game.
A lot of unfinished squads, and Optic Gaming have been on the high ground for a really long time. Wondering if they're going to be able to continuously clean up the rest of the lobby from the right side of where this circle is going to be pulling. Mizu falls down here too. Yanya is going to be able to help restabilize. Playing off this little crevice, though, it's about the information. You don't have a seer. You're not the last one remaining where you are a seer, so you don't have the information of anybody that's around in your corner.
Yeah, and Vicky, this is just a brutal zone. I mean, if you look at the spot west of Command Center, it's nothing but open land, not a whole lot of opportunity to get an early building and rotate fast. So that's why we've seen such a brutal lobby, to be honest, a bloodbath, so many rats at play. It's a tough place to rotate to. On that rotate, you're really exposed, you're really vulnerable. Obviously, you have the Valkyrie, but you're also working uphill, so the Valkyrie isn't enough necessarily. As Optic finds himself in zone, they find themselves finding an opportunity to find some more kill points along the way.
And not only that, too, this circle and where it's pulling, you can see half of it is on the mountain. So where Optic Gaming is on the high ground right here, yeah, they have the high ground. They're in a really great spot. But a lot of that real estate is already taken up inside of that circle. So they're just going to hang out on the high ground right here. They're just going to be able to overlook some of the stragglers that are coming in from the east side of the map, leaving Command Center. We do know that there's still so many teams on the outskirts of the circle that haven't really made their way into this next circle comfortably.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Shubi, the rat, got taken out, and it's Duplex and Optic on Seer that's going to find yet another rat. A rat for the team slept on is going to be called out. CLG is also ratting nearby, and Optic might get that intel as well. So Optic might be, speaking of exterminators, the ones that are just taking out every rat in the sewer. As 100 Thieves find themselves Valculting them more their way, they're going to hug this mountain and try and find themselves Godspot late game. And they've done pretty well. That Ascend did really, really well in EMEA. Can 100 Thieves replicate that success?
Let's see, where are they going to land with the Skyward Dive? It could be tricky. Ooh, underneath the little crevice. Yes, I've been here before.
I didn't know this spot existed.
Deja vu. Yeah. This is actually a really good spot to go to, too, because like you mentioned before, there's so many openings for this final circle, as Dark Zero are going to fully engage on the next fight right here. They're coming from uphill, though, and this is going to be the green light for other squads in the area that are not in this next circle to get involved.
NRG out again in 12th. So here we go, another ALGS day, another slow start for NRG. Dark Zero, though, find themselves in a very difficult spot. Looks like some of them are in zone, but they're going to be getting gate kept quite a bit. There's so many teams nearby. Team Liquid, Space Station, Sentinels, and Dark Zero. All 4 teams within just a stone's throw away. And as I say that, Jen Burton last alive here. It looks like Team Liquid will be on top. All of them still alive, and only one team will survive. Who's going to be?
Let's see, Dark Zero now playing off the back end. It's just up to Sharky. Can he get the res? Team Liquid trying to go for a reset off to the other side here, too. Team Liquid finding this fight here, and Sentinels, not as a full squad, aren't even going to fully engage. Space Station playing on the outskirts as Team Liquid are trying to clean up as much as they can. Dark Zero aren't going to be able to get the same luxury as Team Liquid were when it comes to resetting.
Oh, Fun down to just 5 HP, and it's a team to his left that are going to fly. It's going to be the last member of Sentinels. It's the Rat who's going to come through and rain on the day. What a play right now from Senox. Sykes versus Senox in a 1v1 here for the bread. Senox to 20 HP. He's going to get taken out. Sykes goes huge.
Sykes had no health. He had no health. He immediately diverts his attention to the next person that's coming in, and it's the full squad of Space Station up and alive to clean up Team Liquid, sending them to the lobby in 7th place.
That's right, SSG, the lone remaining team from that skirmish. Meanwhile, Luminosity still alive. Complexity and 100 Thieves in their rotation got taken out, I think, by Optic in the middle of that fight. So we have Optic Gaming, first attempt, Oxygen Esports, Team Smiley, the Rat, and Space Station last alive here. These are the 5 squads remaining.
Last 5 squads, and Oxygen Esports are still playing underneath this bridge. If they didn't pay the tax for the bridge, they're definitely paying it right now by getting pinged from across the water by the squad that holds on to the higher ground right now. Optic Gaming have the best position, but they have to ease their way into that next circle. Their first focus is going to be on Space Station, who are going to be able to wrap around, but they have a nice split focus on this high ground. One player to the left, two on the high ground right now. Oxygen Esports getting pinged by them off to the side.
Yeah, it's a tough rotate for Oxygen. Let's quickly jump into a listen and see if they can find some luck.
Where are we in?
Maybe waterfall.
The waterfall, right side of waterfall.
He's on crack.
Dead.
I was up.
It's in on me.
Yeah, we're in all down the waterfall.
Drop me a med kit. I need a med kit.
You ready on
Drop it, drop it,
be ready on somebody to drop.
Right here, flying, Bubba flash. Nice.
Watch up there, I think.
Anyone?
Oh, ult excel.
Oh, no. You can check the body.
We're gonna have to Velcro super late.
We might be able to climb up.
We're back. Oxygen. Wow, what a listen that was. They find themselves literally hiding under a waterfall, hoping to find some luck. They say don't go chasing waterfalls, but right now the waterfall's the only thing keeping them alive as we're on board with Optic Gaming versus Space Station on the high side.
3 squads left. Optic Gaming, Space Station, Oxygen Esports playing up the low ground. Optic Gaming, though, having low health. They need to have Noct help cover them. Gives that suppressed fire. The Skyward Dive, though, coming in from the sky. It's Oxygen Esports. You heard them frantically saying that they needed a Skyward Dive, and they land right into the line of sight in the open arms of Space Station. They put down the Gibby ult, or rather the Gibby dome, and is it going to be enough? Because this is just going to be the green light for Optic Gaming to go for the third party.
Yeah, this is opening things up for Optic Gaming to come right in. Chopping like a shark in the water is Optic, and they will eat everyone up. Every single minnow eliminated from this lobby. And Optic Gaming in a much needed game number 2 performs with a win. What a showing from Optic.
Optic Gaming needed that, and they stood on the high ground the entire game too, and they got a lot of KP while they were at it. They were literally contesting every squad that came through the choke point from the eastern side of that map.
Yeah, that's huge. Optic Gaming coming into this day's competition in 21st place, not what you'd expected. And you said it perfectly in the pre-show, Vicky. They were a team that was the most consistent team in Split 1. In Split 2, they were in first place as the Esports Arena squad back then, and of course got signed by Optic in Split 2, and were in first place then as well. Not the same story here in year number 3, Split 1, but today, this is the day. We'll see if they can do it. Let's bring Rain Day back to the conversation as we get ready to break down game number 2.
Well, what a finish for Optic Gaming. We definitely expected that this would be the day that they would show up, and they did not disappoint. Sentinels found themselves in game 1, making a splash, getting at least 19 plus points. And Optic Gaming, they'll probably have a little bit more. Vicky, go take a break. You did a great job in the first couple of games. John and I are going to handle this one out while you rest up. And John, let's get into the conversation, because here's where things went wrong for Optic in day 2 when these teams last played. It was Stormpoint. They got 16th, and they ended up getting 20th in game 2. Flash forward now, they've clearly made some adjustments, find themselves in the God spot, and it's a first place in game 2. This is a very different looking Optic from the outset.
Yeah, that's a great fact right there. You're right, Evan. I mean, this is a team that we are traditionally used to seeing dominate on Stormpoint. I mean, the recipe for success in Split 2 when Stormpoint was introduced was Valk ult, find God spot, rotate early, use that God spot, win. And they did it over and over and over again. But they've struggled on Stormpoint so far this season. But this last game was the opposite of that. That was exactly what we're used to seeing from them. The opposite of struggling, at least. They are able to get God spot very, very early and hold that high ground into a win. Really, really well done from them.
You look at the highlight. We started off. Yeah, nice there. 33 repeater, still a weapon you're going to see less of as long as the G7 is out of the care package. Just beats that up. MPS got a shout out to Madness, who has not found a lot of success with the same squad over and over again. Kind of been a journeyman in Apex Legends, but clearly with MPS having a pretty decent performance in game 1, they found themselves sitting in 5th place heading into this. I don't know if they did enough to increase that, considering Optic has now jumped forward. But John, it was also a good performance from Team Liquid. They got in a bit of a skirmish there. Sentinels almost had a rogue moment with Sykes there, but it ended up not really going to fruition the way that they wanted.
Yeah, Sykes went huge in that 1v1. I mean, that 1v1 secured them, I think, a few more KP and helped them get another placement point. I don't think it's going to be a ton of points for the Team Liquid there. So, again, Luminosity gets taken out relatively early. Team Liquid falls relatively early. That's going to open up the standings overall. But this is the moment here. Dark Zero and a couple other teams nearby. Actually, this is us getting to catch 100 Thieves, as we weren't sure what happened to them. They got taken out in this 3v3 fight as well.
And this is interesting because you see 100 Thieves actually going down to CLG Mamba, and that was a good team fighting team. That's the thing with CLG. They're really, really good at team fighting. We've followed them a long time, but can they get the results towards that final end of really finishing off games? That's typically where Team Liquid, Optic, teams like that, even Space Station, tend to vie for, but they got caught up in that 3-team skirmish there. Optic and Liquid and Space Station all kind of cannibalized each other's opportunities there until the very end. Space Station able to make it out, had to make a hard rotation though, and they end up going against Oxygen Esports. That just leaves the cleanup for Optic to come in and win their second on game 2, their first game of the day here on Stormpoint.
Yeah, and let's just call a spade here. Oxygen absolutely threw that game right there for Space Station. They ult really, really early, and ultimately kudos to Oxygen. It's a really big game for them. 12 points, kudos. Space Station gets second with 8 kills and 17 points. Optic with a 14-kill win, 26 points overall. But Oxygen could have waited. They didn't have to rotate and hit that Valk ult so early. I don't think the storm was closing yet. They decide to land right on top of Space Station and really end their game and their opportunity to win the 3v3 against Optic.
And I'm going to be very excited to see if we still have LG in the lead. I know they got a few points and they were leading in with 20 heading into this. They've got 6 here. They might actually be exactly tied with Optic Gaming up top. That would be quite an interesting start for us. One of our bottom teams and one of our top teams actually going toe-to-toe. On the backside of it, it's 100 Thieves, slept on, NRG, MPS. John, what stands out to you? I think I know what it is. It's down very much at the bottom, and it's a team that's used to winning these things.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly what I was going to mention. You know, I was thinking about one of my bold prediction tweets that the guard was going to underperform today. And obviously, it's a little early to say it's happening. It's only 2 games in. But here we are with the guard in dead last place in the overall standings as well. 2 bad back-to-back games and not the best start for them. We'll see if they can bounce back.
All right, let's check out the series standings too, because this is where it's going to see. You know, my quick math was pretty on there. 26 and 26. Optic Gaming and Luminosity tied for first. Huge story here, though. Sentinels, Optic Gaming, who need to perform. This is the day they have to shift their fate and kind of create a new narrative if they want to make it in the regional finals. They're doing that right now. Luminosity, we felt that they would show up. They have. Team Liquid, very consistent as always. They're used to that. And of course, Space Station Gaming rounding out the top 5. Shout out to FaZe, CLG, Oxygen, MP5, MPS, excuse me, and G2 for rounding up the top 10. And of course, if you want to talk about Oxygen and Space Station, John, you said they threw that last circle for Space Station. Did they have another choice, though?
Yeah, let's see here. 35 seconds till the zone's closing, so they have time. And this is the moment, I believe, with about 30 seconds left. I'm trying to see when exactly they pulled the trigger and hit that ultimate. But they rotated really quick. Optic heard it. Optic heard this fight go down. The Bangalore smokes kind of blocked their vision from Space Station. And there's 20 seconds left on that clock right there. So they rotate early, and they decide to rotate right on top of Space Station. That's a tough rotation either way. You can't really say it. They did it in a toxic way necessarily. They have to rotate eventually, but they do it fairly early. And you wonder if they would have just waited that out, would Space Station and Optic maybe exchange fights. Instead, they land on top of SSG. They do enough damage to SSG to make it an easy cleanup for Optic.
It was kind of, damned if you do, damned if you don't, in terms of what Oxygen Esports is forced to do. And also, in terms of Optic and Space Station, you're just rolling the dice. Like, hey, hopefully they go to you instead of Optic. And it happened to be that Optic actually had the low ground there. And I felt that if you're Oxygen, you fly down, you think, well, we probably want to start this fight as high as possible and then try to sandwich the teams in the middle. Unfortunately, Space Station and Optic were just done fighting and kind of separated themselves. And I think Space Station had the same idea. Let's make sure this Valkyrie team lands in front of us. They ended up landing on top of each other. But, overall, I mean, it was a final circle that is tough. I'm curious, can you climb out of that? I think you can as Oxygen. That would have been the only other way to maybe guarantee a better opportunity heading into that.
Yeah, you're saying climb up the waterfall. And
they were talking about it.
Yep, and I wonder if they had enough distance if they could have actually climbed up. I'm not sure. I want to jump into a custom game and see here in a moment.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, though, if you can't climb, if it's too high of a distance, wait till the very last second. There's no reason not to. And if you wait till the last second, zone starts closing in, you're just basically doing circles in the air, trying to prolong that fall and waiting and buying as much time for Optic and for Space Station to fight each other. In the end, though, hindsight's obviously 2020. It's easy for us to say in our chairs watching them play than the players themselves. And ultimately, Oxygen did what they did best, what they thought was best in the scenario. But kudos to them. They're top 5 right now overall, and I would say Oxygen is another team alongside Sentinels and Optic and many others that is kind of like hit the panic button. We need to perform here.
Well, in match 3, as we're about to get underway, we will see who continues to rise to the top and who finds themselves sitting at the bottom, looking up and wondering, how did I get here? Match 3 on Stormpoint, our last match of this newest map to Apex Legends competitive. Although it's not too new anymore, has begun. And then we will transition into World's Edge, Rain Day and Fallout on the cast here. And Fallout, I mean, let's talk about maybe some of the bigger things. As you can see, might be a 50-50 to slam into, but if not, you know, Sentinels and Optic, I'm really impressed with their performance, having to get the job done. It seems like they've answered the call, so to speak.
Yeah, they certainly have. Sentinels with a monster game number 1. Optic with a huge game number 2. Both of those teams find themselves within the top 3. And personally, you know, if I look at the funniest pro players on Twitter, I have Noct in my top 3 in my funny bracket. I'm going to create a funny bracket with pros. Noct tweeted out, someone send me an anime profile picture. I need whatever it takes to have a demon mode type of game tomorrow in the pro league. And of course, Nightswig responded within seconds.
You know, when I was on the way to Sweden heading into the playoffs, I actually sat in front of Skittle Cakes, and you know, sociable guy, and you know, we found out we were going to the same place, and then we both kind of realized, hey, I know you. Hey, I know you.
Hey, it's what brings you on this flight flying to
what
Sweden.
brings you out? Yeah, why are you going to Sweden in the middle of, you know, whatever? And you know, it was definitely one of those things that kind of set a tone for me. But when I saw them in the building, what was interesting is that they probably have a really good rapport with each other, but it was really all business. That's kind of the way I think of Optic Gaming. I just think of some very serious people until you get underneath that first layer of personality when they're at work. And I think then they probably have a really nice, maybe even hilarious demeanor and banter with them. You know, maybe we get a chance to do some listen-ins with Optic. Obviously, they're doing well, and they're big stars in the scene. But ever since they've bounced in, they've had that kind of duality of them, of being, you know, kind of lovable creatures in the way that Duplex is. And I remember that Gibraltar photo that you retweeted. And also, you know, they're here to get the job done. They don't want friends. They'll be friends with you after the tournament is over and they're hoisting the trophy. And they made that very clear.
Yeah, and I gotta completely agree with that. You know, Optic, obviously a really interesting story, and people don't really know. I had a chance to sit down, have just a deep conversation with Skittle and with Dupe and with Noct at the LGS Champs. These are two players that were on controller playing on Xbox and grinded their way, very similar to a lot of stories, and very similar to a lot of people watching right now. I mean, many of you watching the LGS right now are probably in the same boat. They were Xbox players, grinded and ranked, were able to hit top 10 Predator on Xbox, and then were able to rotate, switch over to PC, much like many other players have. But the different thing about them is they also switched inputs. They switched to keyboard and mouse. So they had just been playing keyboard and mouse, at least in particular Duplex and Skittle, for like a year and a half. And the fact that they were able to do that and within like 3 months rise to the top as part of that esports arena squad is so damn impressive. So a really, really great story overall for Optic. And you're right, though. All business is certainly how I define them.
Luminosity Gaming, maybe a little bit more quiet. Obviously, they don't come from North America, not English speaking first, and that's totally fine. Excuse me, they do come from North America. They just end up coming from Mexico mostly as a squad, and of course, not their first language, and so maybe not interacting in the same way either on stream or at these LANs as some of these other players. But when you get to talking with them, and I had a chance to speak with them as well, completely unbelievably sweet guys and committed to the cause of representing not only Mexico but representing the idea that people have doubted them and they do not want to be doubted anymore. It's a little bit of the story we talked about with Ascend. So they've proven that they can get wins, but can they get them now on the biggest of stages? Can they perform at LAN, which Kashera famously said in one of this just the most beautiful interviews I think we've had a chance to do on the ALGS earlier today. Don't call me the best until I win at LAN. And LG, I think, have had moments that they could have. If that game hadn't ended so fast with Dark Zero in Sweden, actually, I feel like they were in a position of those final 3 teams to maybe do something. And I just remember talking to them saying we ran out of ammo. We actually couldn't pressure Dark Zero. We couldn't grief them. We just had no ammo up top on that waterfall. So, you know, will that continue for them over this next couple of days? And, of course, the LAN coming up? Or, you know, will they continue to be a team that almost performed, but not quite at the biggest of stages?
Yeah, well, certainly did a good job of setting the stage, jumping into gameplay here a little bit. Surprise, surprise, we just saw Team Liquid, the northwesternmost team coming from Cascade Falls. Early rotate is the name of their game with Loba. Get positioning, use Loba to get good loot. You don't have to take a lot of time rotating because you have that Loba ultimate you can hit along the way. And that's recipes work really, really well for them. And what's kind of cool is Hodzic is the one that really, you know, created that strategy, that game plan for them. I've never seen a coach that's more involved like Hodzic is. So kudos to him, in my eyes, best coach that we have in Apex. And now we have some pretty remarkable coaches, Raven on TSM and Nightwings Raven and Chaotic and others. It's really been Chrono and others. It's been fun to see these coaches continue to thrive.
Team Liquid here on the low ground. Set up. You can see FaZe looking down. Alberlelli sniped down. Sorby just a team that definitely has a lot of potential. They performed really nicely in day 2. They were actually second place behind the guard, 56 points, and it was just Liquid 2 points behind them. So these teams know how to go toe-to-toe. And in fact, they might just be setting up for that final circle here and trying to show presence and stand your ground. As you can see, it will be a Northwestern circle, and it's a little bit outside of Down Beast. It may not actually end up over there, John, and that's kind of one of those famous circles where you can take height on that historic creature there who had some type of misgiving. We don't know if Newcastle was involved in that or not. It was introduced in his trailer as a legend, but still gonna hold it for the time being. One of the strongest spots here in this Northwestern area.
Yeah, that's right. If we could take a look at the overhead map again, and similarly last game, kind of break down what we're seeing and why we're seeing it. It's a Northwestern pull. You'll see the zones. Checkpoint is smack dab in the middle. But despite Checkpoint being smack dab in the middle, well, you have most teams, in fact, maybe 8 or 9 or 10 teams rotating in the far northwest. You see Space Station in zone here early, just looting. But if we can get the large overhead map, it'd be awesome to showcase exactly what I'm talking about, where the zone's pulling and why you see teams playing the way you're playing. We'll see if we'll get that overhead map up here in a second. But jumping on board with Luminosity here in the zone, they find themselves also in a tough rotate alongside Space Station. A few others. Here we go. So take a look. Checkpoint is smack dab in the middle, but despite that, all the teams, maybe 10 or so, are in the northwest side of Checkpoint and rotating early. That means they're obviously predicting the zone to continue to pull northwest and trying to get as much positioning as possible. So expect this to be a northeast finish of Down Beast, as you'll have all of these teams vying for positioning right now, and that's why Team Liquid rotated so early.
When you see it too, great explanation, John. The teams that are hardcore committing to this late rotation and Space Station, Luminosity, you see G2, you see Sentinels, Luminosity Gaming and Space Station and Sentinels, teams that have performed pretty well so far today. So maybe continuing what has worked for them, obviously going into the replicator, trying to get shield batteries, get on their resources for making sure that they're ready for this in-game circle. But the other option and the other reason why this can happen is because you're just too late. You know, your rotation plan, whatever it is, you're looting, it just doesn't go to plan. The circle's a little too far. And somebody makes a call. The IGL goes, you know, guys, I don't think we're going to be able to get there. There's spots that we want definitely already taken up right now. So let's just hard commit to showing up a little bit later and play these buildings as we get in. And that can work. And so SSG, Luminosity, G2, Sentinel's going to have to go with a plan like that and try to get in a circle a little bit late, squeeze themselves in there against some teams who are already holding ground.
And I can't overstate the importance of the replicator being added as a feature in Apex. That was amazing. Talk about quality of life improvement. That allows these teams to have this play style that really has laid birth to the edge fighting that we saw, you know, starting in I think season 3 or 4, whenever it was added. Before then, it was every team rotate as fast as you possibly can. TSM was the first team to figure that out with Pathfinder, with Watson, and with Wraith. And that's why they won 5 straight tournaments. But it was one play style, and it was rotate fast. But now with the replicator, you can obviously take storm damage, get craft med kits, craft batteries, and that's what you're seeing Luminosity do. You're seeing Space Station do the same thing over in Antenna. Luminosity still in Barometer doing the same. Optic stayed over in the mill for the first like 5 minutes of the game playing hard edge as well. So you have these teams that have a chance to play hard edge. And you have multiple play styles, which has been healthy for the overall longevity and quality of life of Apex as an esport.
Bots having a little tit for tat with Slept on the backside of the circle now. They have the chance to kind of go back around. Both take kind of a southern and a northern wrap, which would work for them, but it doesn't seem like that way. Boat checking in with the G7, outfitted with the Bruiser, which at least earlier today was in the replicator, and so might have made that one up just to be ready. It's a nice 26 and checks for the purple shields. Maybe doesn't want to push that too hard just now. Slept on and Bots are 19th and 20th place teams so far in North America after 2 games. And, we haven't seen a lot from them, John, but I mean, this is a great time to start.
That's right. Yeah, Slept on in 30th place coming into today's competition. Dead last. Will face relegation unless they can change that story. Rack Attack in 29th. So again, we mentioned teams like Optic, they have to press the panic button because they're used to being a top 5 team. Well, Oxygen in 24th. You have Rack Attack, Slept on, first attempt. Also teams that need to perform today. We'll see if they can do that. Meanwhile, G2 is finding themselves rotating actually through mill. They're following the rotate of Optic. I'd be actually curious to jump into a listen-in with G2 if we can to see how they're going to play the rotate and where they decide to go for positioning. G2, another team that likes to play hard edge. Bangalore on their name has certainly helped. Optic works their way by walking straight into Down Beast, and they're right below in the belly of the Beast. FaZe and the Guard, Oxygen, Team Liquid, and others.
This is certainly one of, if not the strongest places to play from. Several moments about it. You talked about G2 and the fact that they got 9th, or I believe 8th in game 1, but guess what accompanied that? maybe about 13 kills or something. They ended up getting 16 points on the day, with made them a 3rd place finisher overall, and now 6th place on the day after 2. Designful results to Chaotic, switching out their squad and going for something bigger than what they had. Obviously, disappointment last season in Split 2, but now they've got to be careful because they're looking at Luminosity. Luminosity looking at them. They have the Bloodhound on, and the Beast is active, and he's on the prowl.
That's right, Luminosity. This is a fight we foreshadowed. We knew they were in Barometer crafting up. We knew they were going to be flanking G2 over in Mill, and here comes the beast of the hunt for Niazul, formerly known as Ganja Men. Looks like G2 is going to say, yeah, we don't want much of this fight. Let's just gatekeep. And, well, guess what? Luminosity is going to be stuck in zone here. This will be a really, really tough rotation for LG. G2 gatekeeping nearby. That should be a clean 3v3 for now, but Space Station coming from Antenna and CLG are also nearby. So we got 4 teams within the vicinity. Let's jump into Illicit with G2 to see how they play it.
Yeah. We're chilling at these rocks. Out here.
Is it just a team in each building that didn't push him yet?
I'm gonna try to peek around this rock a little bit.
Alright. Just be careful from the back. The charge rifle is like bottom floor of
I
this
think
right
we're gonna swing inside the down beast. Honestly.
Alright.
Like now?
No. Like eventually when the storm starts closing.
This team's getting pinched right here by someone from checkpoint, I think.
Yeah, LG's pushing them.
50 on bang, 50 on bang.
Shoot the kid on top. Where is that missing, bro? I'm hitting an invisible wall or something.
Keep eyes on our back. Be careful.
This team is far running. This team's going all the way around.
All right, Designful. This is why we don't do G2 listenings. I forgot that story we learned back in the Solo Fida days years ago.
I mean, I think that, you know, Designful's been, you know, a fun character. It wouldn't be strange to say he's been a bit controversial in ways. He's not everybody's personality type, and he obviously, you know, is someone who's willing to speak his mind. Spending a lot of time with Designful's a guy that, you know, is definitely a genuine, you know, pure heart. But in terms of competition, definitely doesn't want to give anybody anything that they don't need. And Yanya and Luminosity Gaming flanking them on the backside. Not happy about that. Lets us know in the listen in. But hey, what do you expect? LG want to win just as much as G2 do, so I don't expect that to stop anytime soon.
Yeah, and you know, G2, LG, I wouldn't say they're rivals necessarily, but LG is another near all controller team, G2 full controller team, so they certainly have similar play styles, and they both drop in the south side of the map. So it's a fight and a matchup that they are used to in scrims and other tournaments, etc. But for now, Chaotic's going to heal back to full, and this fight will continue. Designful going to get tagged up just a little bit. Charge rifle in the hands of Yanya, and it looks like LG is going to have to find a way. They're going to walk this rotate in. They decide to take the mill side, or the down B side as opposed to the checkpoint side, and they're going to have to get their G2 as a result.
They were actually firing on Space Station Gaming as well. That was the team that they mentioned Luminosity was pushing. If you wonder how, you know, it's this composition, Bangalore and Bloodhound and Valkyrie. It's just a clear sign that this is LG. Everyone is aware of it, but now as they rotate and the circles have been clear, LG have a chance to go after G2 yet again. They are still pushing, and G2 are going to be in trouble because now FaZe and Optic are the two teams in front of them, LG behind them. G2 has no chance here, nowhere to run. They have got to split up. There's already a down. I cannot imagine G2 survives this. Maybe a solo can get around, but you can see Niazul on the hunt with the Bloodhound, making sure that this car starts singing, and G2 Designful goes down. Resulta falls as well. There's just one more member of G2 alive and trying to make it out as a solo. I'm not sure it's going to be possible, though, as this has just been absolute, utter domination from LG on the backside.
Yeah, we knew it was just a matter of time. It was a ticking time bomb waiting to explode, and guess what? That time bomb was in the form of a young Ganjaman, aka Niazul, pushing up with Bloodhound, getting the scans, getting the intel, and taking out G2. A dominant showing from Luminosity, showcasing why they're so good at playing edge, and we talked about them. They can play hybrid. If it's a southern zone, they can rotate earlier, but they're so good at these edge fights as well. The ability to play, you know, really an adaptive hybrid play style based on what their situation is in front of them is so impressive, similar to how they pick their legends here as we switch on over to Dark Zero.
Man, I love the way that you can just play Bloodhound. I'll talk about that and the insert of that aside from Seer as well, but you can just be so aggressive and so selfish and still help your team out. One of the benefits of it Dark Zero, our playoff and our championship winners of the last 2 LAN events, not going to stay alive here in Game 3, and first attempt will also fall. And that's to the hands of Sentinels, who, whoa, are starting to pick it up even higher than they were before. 28 points there, Tech, rounding out with the EVA 8. Got plenty of buffs here lately, but Sinox, what can he do on the horizon? Already still in the fight, they've lost trust, and they pulled back, maybe bit off a bit more than they could chew as MPS falls and Space Station as well in your kill feed. But Sentinels have a chance here with this win, John, to vie for first place.
That's right. MPS eliminated, but kudos to Team Smile. It was a 3v2. And EVA 8 in the hands of Sentinels, you thought they were just going to roll through this Team Smiley setup, but the Watson fence keeps them alive, and ultimately they hit their shots, and they end up taking out Crush. So now it's a 3v2 turn 2v2. Senox and Tech in a 2v2 against Blake and Team Smiley. Let's see how they play this.
Massive moment for them. Tech wants to use that Seer passive as well. Get the Heartseeker and the information and the verticality, making sure that if they push them in a terrible spot. Love this angle here from Tech. Sinox can push from the other side, but they've got to be coordinated, and it seems like they are. There's 32 damage. Tech is all in. They've got to get Sinox back into this fight. Leiku doing so much damage with the Volt. He's going to go down there, and will it be Sinox to clean this one up? He's got to hit everything, and he does! Smiley eliminated. Sentinels take 2, and they'll get Tech back up, and they will now be 1 point away from overtaking first place.
Wow, what a play right there from Tech. You obviously want to highlight Senox. He wins the 1v1, but Tech was the one that drew first blood, broke ice with so much damage done, which gave them the opportunity to avoid that awkward stalemate. They had to win that fight fast, otherwise the zone's going to be closing in on them. It's going to be a really tough rotate for them, coming behind Luminosity and CLG. But Sentinels now as a team of 2 has the chance to third party this fight. Both teams are down a player, so it's a 2v2v2 fight right now. Sentinels can come in and clean up.
Look at this CLG Mamba playing with Catalyst, the Dark Veil, doing so much, and it's still going to be up for Demi. What can he do? It's one shot. Luminosity eliminated by CLG. We told you they were so good at team fighting, and they proved it here, and they get out without their team, sure, but Demi still has his life and a placement point as well, with now an incredible showcase of what CLG can do when they get a chance.
That's right. Sentinels not able to get the last knock, though. So CLG, that last member alive, is just crawling his way over. They only got 1 of the knocks. Setnox is the kill leader overall as he gets the final bleed out on Mamba. Demi goes down as well. So just like that, all members of CLG eliminated from this lobby. Sentinels comes in and gets to profit with all of the loot. They are so well kitted. That was a much needed refresh for them coming off the heels of that last fight. Sentinels now, as a team of 2, will progress. Optic to their left, Team Liquid and the Guard, as well as 100 Thieves will round out your top 5 teams.
You got to say, Liquid and the Guard, they certainly should be here. 100 Thieves, they've been chomping at the bit, and so excited to see them in the top 5. But Sentinels, and just the way that we have seen CLG play, they're cracking 20 points. That is a performance we're going to have to dive into a little bit more. CLG rocking the newest legend as well, Catalyst, and showing off what that Dark Veil can do. 100 Thieves in a pretty good spot. Isolated from the rest, these buildings tend to be the prominent location to try to hold, and they're good at it, but the problem is they also become the most desirable real estate fallout, so they get a lot of people trying to challenge here, and it's going to be up to Guard to do their best, as well as Optic, and kind of holding down their real estate, making sure there are no buyers or unwarranted offers for their location.
Yep. There we go. Sentinels continues their trajectory here. Just a tough rotate for them. Tech's going to be bye. See you later. Optic Gaming's going to come through. Clean up 2 easy kill points for them. Last member alive is going to be Senox. See you later. Not for long. Optic cleans up. That leaves 4 teams remaining. Team Liquid, the Guard, Optic, and 100 Thieves. We have 2 teams running Newcastle, Team Liquid and 100 Thieves in this lobby. 1 team running Crypto in the Guard. And that's why Team Liquid rotates early, Evan. Look at the position they're able to get.
Beautiful spot, especially from Liquid playing the way they are on the high ground. This is definitely, I think, the most advantageous spot. You just can't get griefed by 100 Thieves. The Guards know it. And so they're hiding here. Keon, Rampo, and RKN. We spoke with RKN in Atlanta a week ago. Took 2 days off. You asked me, what did I think about that? I think it's a great plan. And I think in athletics and in anything competitively, you got to sometimes take a little bit of time off to come back fresh. They certainly look like they've done that here in Game 3, but they've got to figure out how to deal with Liquid. It's 100 Thieves, Liquid, and I believe the Guard underneath that are going to be going toe-to-toe here to finish off and see who can take Game 3.
Optics out in 4th place. They both got focused by Team Liquid at the top, and of course the guard on the bottom. Really good job from the two of them, gatekeeping Optic and preventing the champions from game number 2 for going back-to-back. So now Team Liquid on high ground. It's the guard on low ground. The Loba ultimate comes in. They get all that Optic gaming loot. That's huge for them. That's why Loba's so good in these late games here. Sykes is playing out of his mind, by the way. Again, you wouldn't have expected to call him a rookie. This is his first time playing an ALGS at this level, and boy, oh boy, is he performing.
I just want to look at the situation, John, and great call out on the Loba. Not an easy character to bring into competitive. Obviously, you've got coached by Hodzic in the way they like to play it, but Sykes taking on that role, big challenge, big ups to that. But look at this. I mean, 100 Thieves are sitting isolated on a bridge. Everyone's looking at them. They know someone's beneath and above, but what kind of situation does this, put in for 100 Thieves? Because they actually, weirdly enough, are going to have to be the first person to move. They're going to have a little bit of a hero's moment, possibly, if you look at EMEA. Who's going to make that big stretch, that first commit out into the open, and really hold the position that's going to win this game? Because right now, it's just going to be a free-for-all.
Yeah, I think I'd say that Team Liquid has the best position overall to their left. Zone's closing right to their left, but the guard's going to try and grief them. Here comes the push. So instead of them are 100 Thieves in my eyes, but it's really a 3-way split. This is anyone's game right now, Evan. No one necessarily has the clear win condition. 2 Newcastles. They're going to drop one. They're going to say, hey, good luck getting out of this building. Team Liquid, what a decision right there. They're going to completely grief guard.
I think it's like 2,000 damage to get out of this. I don't think they're going to have enough damage, literally, to get out of it. They have to go through a Watson fence as well. What a play from Liquid. They say it's just mathematically not possible. They get second place, but meanwhile, 100 Thieves watches all that and says, that was cute, guys. We'll take the W here in game number 3. You didn't pay attention to us, and now you bit the bullet for it.
Yeah, WD Black, what's in your pack? Well, it's a Newcastle Ultimate. And that was the Apex equivalent, Vicky, of basically having to jump through a ring of fire to make it into a late game. You saw Rambo do it. He gave it his best leap. He's like, maybe I can avoid this damage if I just jump my best. But he ends up getting stunned, takes the Newcastle damage, the slow, the stun, and ultimately 100 Thieves is the victor, and it is the one that's going to be the benefactor of that fight between Liquid and the guard.
That looks so funny. That was like here's Team Liquid, and then it just dropped the Newcastle wall like right there and then. Like, what? I can't believe it. Can you imagine the perspective of 100 Thieves? How the comms probably sounded as they just watched that happen in front of them?
Yo, what's going on? Hey, just watch. Let's just see what happens. That was a crazy play from Liquid, but it was also kind of an admittance of we're not going to win this game. Like 100 Thieves have God spot, so we basically just need to go ahead and get the guard out of here because we have an easy play on them. It's 3 KP, and plus it's 2 placement points that we wouldn't have got. So it's a 5-point overall switch that I think Liquid, looking at it from let's say a macro perspective, go, this is what's going to allow us to help win this game versus us not getting any of these placement points, and 2 teams that were actually competing in, at least the guard who's competing with us, 100 Thieves the way they're playing now, to maybe vie for first. So I like the decision. It was a pragmatic one. I like to see people go for the win, but went for second, and I think it actually played off pretty well for them, John.
Yeah, and I wonder how many kill points they got, because I know they didn't clean up. I don't think they cleaned up Rambo there. I think, and actually, I'm pretty sure they got second overall, so it should have been enough to get them second. But ultimately, yeah, I agree with you. You're in a tough situation there. 100 Thieves has kind of the best overall condition or situation for them. They just got to slowly walk it in, obviously with Newcastle Shield as well. That's going to help them in that scenario. But that was really just a fun play. And by fun, I mean the player fun, not just fun in funny, which it was as well. But he is such a playmaker. And I got to say, he does not get enough recognition for his ability to make plays, his ability to get loose, get creative. And that was pure creativity right there. I'd love to hear the comms from Team Liquid for fun to be like, wait, I have an idea. Watch this. Because he blocked the entire team of the Guardian.
I want to look up the exact numbers. I think it might be 500 damage per piece of the wall. And I think there might have been 1 or 2 pieces that were blocking. It would have been incredibly tough. You would have had to empty maybe 2 reloads of ammo to actually finish it off between the 2. And in a situation like that where the zone is moving in, it was just an incredible understanding of, hey, resources and need do not apply here for them, and so they're not going to be able to make it out of this one. But overall, Vicky, it was a really exciting game, and Luminosity Gaming, they started off really strong as well.
Yeah, it absolutely did. Luminosity really having their pop-off moments, not only coming out of winning game number 1, still staying consistent, getting top 5 in game number 2, and then game number 3, they really did come in swinging to match that with the likes of teams like even Optic Gaming, who got 4th place, I believe, in that last game here too. It's nice to see a lot of these squads that we were expecting to really pop off having their really shiny day.
You know, we switched perspectives here, Fallout, but it was a great push from Sentinels. It was a good play from Smiley as well, but it was ultimately Synox who would kind of clutch it up there and put Sentinels in a driving seat position heading into the back half of this day.
Yeah, that's right. We saw Sentinels make some plays. We didn't see how FaZe got taken out, but that was the moment where FaZe got eliminated in 7th or 8th. That's the point where Sentinels rotates through. They make it to the top 5. They get a lot of kill points along the way. And that's kind of been the recipe for success for Sentinels is high kills, not necessarily top 2 finishes, but they're playing that really, really aggressive comp of Seer, of Valkyrie, and Horizon. And they're winning a lot of these fights, playing really well as a team. And I got to say, kudos to Tech. Shook off the rust real quick back as a pro player, and he's been playing really, really well.
The impossible situation. People are shooting at you. Do you shoot at them or do you shoot at the wall? That's keeping you
got
in
third.
with the zone is going to kill you. And incredible stuff there. I mean, just the fact that you could see it showcase. The guard actually taking 2nd place. So it ended up not being a gamble that was worth it for Liquid. I wasn't aware of that. The guard actually taking that extra placement point. So it was risky. They gave up their defense, John, but it ended up maybe not working out for them.
You like the creativity, that's for sure. But I think what ended up happening is that actually ended up biting them because that basically opened up a wide open entrance and a little bit of cover for all of the guard to just sit, crouch behind the fence and use the fence as defensive to their advantage. They ended up, I think it was Rambo, who melted a couple members of Team Liquid, got additional KP, and ended up being a thorn in the side of Team Liquid instead. So again, kudos, A+ for creativity, execution, not necessarily what they expected there as the guard takes 2nd with a 16-point game, but 100 Thieves does great as well.
Well, it's tough because obviously they chose to fight 2 people, right? They chose to fight the guard inside, and they knew 100 Thieves was coming. So that's obviously a difficult spot. Vicky, take a look at this back half. What's standing out to you here as we kind of round out our game 3 in the bottom 10 teams, excuse me.
Well, I'm looking at 15th through 17th. G2, Dark Zero, Complexity did not have the best game here for this game number 3. The final game that we have on Storm Point before we move on to World's Edge, where we see some of these squads feel way more comfortable on, specifically G2 and Complexity. I'm excited to see how these two fare off against a map like World's Edge, because this is where they feel more at home, but not having the best standout performance in that final game on Storm Point.
You got to say, NRG not performing well. We kind of led this season into NRG and Gildersons from Team Liquid, causing a bit of a stir. Liquid picking up Sykes, and wow, it's really paid off for them. They've kept their momentum. NRG have had a fluctuating performance, to say the least. Dark Zero been pretty consistent, actually, so surprised seeing them back down there, but here's how it stands after 3. Optic Gaming, 36 points. Sentinels, just 1 point behind. LG, we've been mentioning, it's their time. They're trying to make a statement, and Team Liquid finally trying to go from 3rd place and 9th place or 7th place and finally get that 1st. I think they can do it, but it's going to take a moment here because obviously they got to go through LG first. And look at that. Here's a kill leader. React to this, John, because we got a kind of a nice mix here.
Kind of nice mix, but I gotta again. I already gave him a lot of hype, but Tech tied for 1st with 9. The coach of Sentinels performing today, but Yanya, as you'd expect, doing Yanya things. 1st place overall, 9 kills. He continues to be the staple of this team, not only making calls and being a big overall voice for them, but also slaying and fragging out. Really, really great performance for him. Tech and Senox both dominating in the kill category. Sykes, as you'd expect, representing Team Liquid, and all 3 members of Optic Gaming at the bottom half of that with Jaguares rounding it out in 10th.
All right, well, let's kind of lean in on that conversation about Tech and Senox and Sentinels and how they've done Fallout. They've been a team to really look at and take us through why they've stood out to us as a broadcast and as to you specifically over these first 3 games.
Yeah, well, the reality is everyone was looking. It was all eyes on Sentinels going into this competition. Everyone was looking at them to perform, and they didn't perform today, especially after making the bold decision, a quarter of the way through Pro League to drop Lou. Then they'd kind of be the laughingstock of competitive Apex. But instead, they answer the call of duty. They respond with a really solid Storm Point. They find themselves in the top 3, I believe actually the top 2 right now. Sentinels performing so incredibly well, Vicky.
Yeah, and then taking a look at Luminosity, you talk about some standout performances from Sentinels. Well, Yanya has always been that player of conversation when it comes to having their own pop-up performances. Despite even having to play on the outskirts of the circle and even getting basically gate-kept by a lot of these other edge teams, Luminosity still finds themselves in God spot time and time again. You see Yanya beaming down from the high ground with the charge rifle, having that 3-time scope at the ready here. But overall, having a charge rifle on a map like Storm Point, I mean, a charge rifle in general is really great, but on Storm Point, it's even better because you have a lot more open ground that you can cover with that sniper.
I just love what we're seeing here from a lot of the teams that we challenged, and that's the way you look at competition really improving. You see teams that need to be stepping up in that moment. They've got to go against the top dogs already in the lobby, people who have won games, and then they do it, and then they kind of set a different tone, and now everyone else has to rise to that level. Optic Gaming, Sentinels, I couldn't be actually more excited to see what the back half of this day holds for them. And traditionally, I think this is something that we're already seeing is going to be a dangerous theme if we continue and head to LAN and head to our regional finals with these teams performing as well as the other teams that have highlighted themselves in North America so far. All right, it's going to be a great transition into World's Edge, but we're going to take a quick break before we get there. Game 4 coming up of our ALGS Day 5 in North America.
WD Black, the official storage partner of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Did somebody say WD Black? No, they didn't. They didn't send this to me, but I actually have one, and I thought, you know what? Why not? Why not let people know I actually have one of these game drives, WD Black P10. Great stuff. On my own personal channels, I have a video reviewing it in a couple of days coming out, but that's neither here nor there. We are ready to kick off the second half of this ALGS Day number 5 in North America. My name is Rain Day. If you've been joining us, welcome back. If you are just joining us, welcome. We've had a great day of action so far where we've challenged a couple of top teams and a couple of bottom place teams to either stake their claim or make one. And what we've seen is a reaction from both. And I want to bring in Fallout and Vicky Kitty here as we get into it. Actually, talking about how this has been a great day so far, John, in terms of North American action.
Yeah, here's the thing though, Evan. I got to work on my return video. Vicky does this cute little finger thing. Vicky, how do you do that again? Do it one more time.
I don't know.
I gotta work on that.
Fingers.
Maybe I do like a salute chat. What should I do?
You could do what? You could do this.
Maybe like a little.
She plays a flute. Maybe you play like a trumpet or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it looks like she's playing the flute actually.
Why don't you guys start a band? You do the drums,
That's a
John?
great idea.
Drums. All right, match 4. It's coming up on World's Edge as John figures out his opportunity here. It's coming up very, very soon. So John, be ready. As well as Vicky. We're going to do 3 more matches on the day to determine who will win. Sentinels and Optic Gaming on a winning streak here. Can they keep it up? Luminosity Gaming looking great. CLG, got to shout out our Catalyst team. Dominating here in terms of 3v3 fights, not putting it together in terms of wins. We'll see if that changes in World's Edge. We bring it back on all of us. Do they have it? John.
That was pretty good, right?
Can I want to do like the... Oh, I don't even know. I don't even know what this is. I feel like Rain Day comes across as a vocalist.
Okay, so I'll start singing, and you guys can.
I'll play the saxophone that sounded like a trumpet or something.
We can start getting into it. We're gonna figure out our Apex band one of these days. We got a few more broadcasts together coming up, but ladies and gentlemen, I mean, it is almost time to kick it off. And Vicky, I want to kick it off to you too because you had a little bit of a break there. You had a chance to react as well. What are kind of your takeaways of Game 3? I know we've talked a lot about ours, but just in terms of how you're feeling moving into World's Edge, what are your thoughts?
What I'm thinking right now is that I feel like what Optic Gaming is lacking right now is that this composition, the meta with Sierra, is not really helping them out. But you know what? I'm just going to hold that thought. We're going to dive right into match number 4 because we're wasting no time. We're getting right into World's Edge, all right, Rain Day? And I'm excited to see what Optic Gaming's got in store for us.
That's right. Game number 4, switching over to World's Edge, and I'll answer your question right now. I won't dodge it like a certain Vicky Kitty. I think what we'd expect out of World's Edge, well, Team Liquid. Take big circle on Team Liquid. They performed really, really well on Storm Point. I mentioned it earlier in the broadcast, but they did not necessarily have the World's Edge finish that they wanted last broadcast, which opened the door for TSM to win it. This time, Team Liquid needs a different story. They're dropping Trials, Skyhook, West alongside 100 Thieves. They're going to have a ton of loot. They just have to play this rotation to perfection. I'll see how Team Liquid will do here on World's Edge.
It's always so interesting to see Team Liquid being one of their more consistent squads. Not interesting because it's surprising, but more interesting to see how the other 3 squads between Luminosity, Sentinels, and Optic Gaming have been doing in comparison to them, since these have been the squads that haven't been as consistent as Team Liquid, because this is the day that those squads really needed to have those pop-up opportunities. As we could see, we're going to have a Southern Circle. G2 is going to be celebrating over in Thermal Station once they have the opportunity to scan that beacon that's to the left of Thermal Station. But as I was saying before, Optic Gaming is a squad that has been playing the edge more than anything, and with Seer being in the meta, it hasn't been working out for them. So I feel like them playing for positioning, for final circle positioning, for Godspot, like we used to see them play as, is going to actually allow them to have way more experience and more of an opportunity for them to get the KP that they need than playing heavy edge like they have been playing so far, because Caustic isn't very good in this meta with Seer ult being so prevalent.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a good point. You know, Optic obviously has really good skill when it comes to these kind of edge fights, but ultimately what you're saying is play rotate, play Godspot instead. We'll see how Optic decides to play World's Edge, though. They typically like to play edge on this map. They like to basically bully any team that drops on the southeast side of the map, which in this lobby is going to be slept on. They're dropping over in Dome, so expect Optic to potentially try and take that fight. They know that they're on the southeasternmost side of the map, which means that they have a clean 3v3. No teams are going to come through in third party. Luminosity drops launch site, but is likely going to rotate. So expect Optic to potentially, come across a fight against Slept-On, maybe Luminosity in these early games. But whichever team dropped Lava Siphon, no TSM in this lobby, already rotated and left. It may have been Dark Zero dropping either Harvester or Lava Siphon. Let's take a look at the overhead map if we possibly can and show y'all where the zone's going to be pulling. It will be a southwest pull all the way down to Thermal Station. So that's why you see Dark Zero there already, G2 there already. Teams have rotated super early, but Team Liquid, well, different than their play style in Storm Point. They're going to be playing hard edge here.
Yeah, with the quickness and the swiftness, it's actually real crazy to see how quick Dark Zero was able to rotate, because there was that beacon in the middle of Lava Siphon, so they got that information, they got that early loot, and they immediately dipped. As you can see, all the other squads making their way into that next circle. Luminosity as well with the Skyward Dive. They're already making their way through Tree. They're going to be meeting up soon with CLG and MPS. A lot of other squads that are going to be traversing from the northern side of the map, looking at Team Liquid, 100 Thieves, Sentinels, First Attempts. They could start rotating through. They're going to be meeting up in choke points close to the beacons south of Lava Fissure. So you can expect that to get heated real quick. After leaving Lava Fissure, you're going to see that beacon getting contested to go over to Thermal Station, because there's limited space in that final circle for where it's going to be rotating towards if it continuously pulls to the south of Thermal Station.
That's right. We'll see where that zone will end up pulling. Sentinels drop Survey Camp, 100 Thieves and Liquid, Skyhook, First Attempt open up in Climatizer, Team Smiley Overlook. No one's dropping Epicenter. And then we got Complexity Frag East, Bots Frag West. So those are all the teams that will be likely playing Edge. Meanwhile, G2, well, they get their pick of the litter here. They get to decide where they want to rotate to, how they want to play this zone, and it looks like they're going to be axing their way in, courtesy of Designful, into this building here, taking this positioning, and they're going to be content holding this spot. Not the edge fighting that they're used to playing, that we're used to seeing. G2 will have a slower game here.
And trying to take their time here. I mean, with the Bloodhound, they're going to have the scans. They're going to be able to have that information, but it's not going to be that constant flow of information that the Seer Heartbeat Center does provide. As you can see, that squad holding the other side of the building. I do believe that's Space Station. Optic Gaming, though, on this southern side of Tree, another squad that's looking to try to take some of these early fights, looking to continue their domination. And Luminosity are rocking the Caustic, trying to tell Skittlecakes, like, you may not be on the Caustic anymore, but we are still repping the Caustic. This is what LG has been feeling confident doing every single time we make the swap over to World's Edge.
That's right. A couple other things to notice. Yeah, you mentioned the Caustic switch for LG. Also rocking Gibraltar on Higuadas. So a big team comp change. No more Bangalore on that squad. No more Bloodhound. No more scans for days. And it's just awesome to see the two maps and the diversity between the two, right? Completely different playstyles for a lot of these teams. Team Liquid is the best example of that. They're rocking a completely different playstyle. No more Newcastle for them. No more Loba for them. Instead, they're rocking Seer and they're playing Edge. So a team that's able to have a completely diverse playstyle, or again, run that hybrid on Storm Point, early rotate. But here on World's Edge, Team Liquid's a hard edge team. At least that's how they play these Southwest zones. So it's really, really good to see these teams adapt.
It's really interesting to see the change up in composition for some of these squads. Energy rocking the Loba, with Guild being on the Loba, and PS rocking the Loba as well, with I'm Madness being on that pick. So Optic Gaming now just trying to delete some of these caustic barrels while sharing some of this building space with this other squad that's on the other side. Looking to see if they have that opportunity. They don't want to get pinched though, so they're going to be taking their time. But Skittlecakes having that Devo, ooh, the gold Devo with the turbo ready, that's going to be disgusting. That's going to absolutely shred anybody that's going to turn that corner.
Yep. Quick update for y'all. We obviously talked a lot about the changes between World's Edge, Stormpoint in terms of legend picks, but the overall legend picks, well, we're going to have a 95% pick rate once again for Valkyrie. So there's one team, one brave team not running Valk. I want to know who it is. I can't think on the top of my head. Who is it? Watson. 11 teams picked Watson, 55% pick rate. 40% of teams picked Seer. So again, the Seer dominant meta that we expected coming into Pro League isn't necessarily coming to fruition, which you like to see a lot of diversity here. Horizon after that. Then we got 4 Newcastles, 4 Cryptos, 3 Lobas in the lobby, and then one of the following: 1 Caustic, Bloodhound, Gibraltar, Mad Maggie, and Bangalore on display here in World's Edge.
So the odd squad out that isn't running the Valkyrie is actually G2 because they're rocking the Horizon, Bloodhound, and Bangalore, which works for them because they land over by thermal station. So it's not like they have to utilize that skyward dive to get out of a tricky situation since they're already taking up that building to the south of thermal. So that's great news for them because they're always going to get ahead of the curve when it comes to these quick rotates since they know that they don't have the skyward dive.
Yeah, that's a good point. They're kind of the equivalent of Aurora, but in North America. They're a team that has just committing to a play style, which is hard edge. They're okay playing edge, staying edge, and doing whatever they need to have the best team composition to fight squads. And ultimately, you don't need a Valkyrie if you don't plan to rotate. And if you plan to just continue to walk in zones by playing edge, you can continue to run that Valkless team comp, which is what we see. I think 3 or 4 teams in EMEA, and in EMEA we had, I think, 80 or 85% Valk pick rate. So again, you like to see some teams that feel like they don't need that get out of jail free card with a Valkyrie rotate.
Interesting as we see Team Smiley just taking up the space inside of this train tracks, setting up the fences as well. So you can take a look at where the circle is going to be pulling. So many Loba ults in that southern circle. 3 of them just kind of overlapping each other. Nice to see here with so many other squads now making the rotation over. But it's the information from the Crypto that is nice to know because we don't really get to see Crypto in North America very often. That EMP does delete the Seer ult, does delete the Watson fences if we do see way more Watson in the lobby. And also being able to scan that beacon without having to give up your position. That's extremely important. As you can see, Team Smiley, they're going to be able to do that. Have that next circle positioning before they plan their next move.
Yep. Good call for Team Smiley as they'll continue to rotate through the west train tracks of Lava Siphon. Oxygen Esports right in front of them. I love this overhead map view that gives us all the intel. Sentinels, again, sticking to that hard edge comp. They're actually going to rotate all the way to Skyhook to scan that beacon as well and get themselves some information, but expect them to eventually clash with Liquid and FaZe just south of them.
FaZe looking to circle keep as well, playing from the north side of Thermal Station. Wondering how Team Liquid's going to try to rotate there as we tune into Optic Gaming, who are just taking their time still inside this building. None of these squads trying to overextend and give up some of that space, but Optic Gaming holding the inside part of this tree. Wondering who's sharing that. If it's Luminosity, who are probably to the south of them, none of these squads are going to overextend, because if they do, that's going to be the green light for the other remaining teams in the area to try to third party.
Will be the green light for the green wall.
Okay, I see you.
You're supposed to make fun of me, Vicky, for having a really, really bad joke, but I appreciate you laugh. That's how good of a person Vicky is. She just laughed at that joke, which was intentionally the worst joke of all time.
Oh,
wow.
no.
You just got such a good heart, Vicky. I appreciate it.
It's okay. I have to give you props for where it's due sometimes. It's sometimes funny. But you know what? Green wall, green light, and the green man, that is Caustic, okay? And he's got the Caustic barrels set up here, setting up the traps on the other side of where Optic Gaming is. But both those teams aren't going to try to contest each other again, just because it's going to be the ability to allow another squad to try to third party and actually take that building away from them, as the circle is probably going to pull away towards the south, more so in the middle of tree. FaZe, though, playing the edge of the circle. This is a more edge-heavy team. They haven't had the day that I was expecting them to have. I mean, in a very similar case versus A versus C, we got to see them have a very standout performance in day number 2, but not having that same replicated performance in this day 5.
Yeah, and this is a team that's still finding their identity. Let's just be honest here. I mean, look, running Crypto this time around, we obviously didn't see them on Crypto in the last few pro leagues. On Stormpoint, Bangalore for Alberlelli, playing a lot more edge. So they're still finding their identity, still figuring out how they want to play. This is a new team. It's going to take time for them to mesh. The thing is, you don't have a lot of time here in Pro League. Meanwhile, it's going to be the rotation coming through. Sentinels with Valkyrie got there quickly, and here comes the Ape. They're going to try and grief FaZe right now.
This is insane here because now FaZe are in a sandwich situation that they were not expecting because they did not expect Sentinels to get on top of them from the skyward dive. Now FaZe are sandwiched between Sentinels and Team Liquid. They could just drop down and rotate underneath the tunnel. Not too sure if that's what they ended up doing. You can see Sentinels just trying to look to the right, look to their left to make sure they can catch them in the middle of that rotate. Team Liquid now are going to be able to counter rotate FaZe, and they're going to get closer into the circle while Sentinels are just trying to take some shots.
Yeah, and we kind of previewed this fight between FaZe, Liquid, and Sentinels. Well, here it is. FaZe is just going to hit this Valk ult, and this is where it's a high-risk, high-reward moment. This is where you kind of roll the dice a little bit. Will FaZe get positioning? Will they get a spot that will work out for them, or will they just fall to death? Here we go. How good are your Valk rotates, Slurpee G? How good are your calls, Alberlelli? This is the first test for them, and it looks like they'll find themselves a pretty good spot. Rock positioning, a lot of line of sight to help them. And FaZe survives for now.
It's not in the circle, but they're very close to it. They're right there by the edge, so they can just inch their way into that next circle. And with the Valkyrie ult and the Valkyrie passive, you were able to scan some of the teams that have already taken up some of the extra space right on top of them. So that's information that they can work off of. Checking to see if this building's clear, and it is, and this is going to work perfectly into their playstyle with the Watson. Snipedown's now going to be able to set up the fence line all around the inside of this building.
That's right. All right, so great call right there from Alberlelli. Again, earning his stripes as an IGL. A lot of discussion of Alberlelli as a top 7 IGL in the world, and he even came in and said, hold your horses. Not yet. I have a lot to prove still. I'm still learning every single day, and I agree with that. Obviously, he showed a lot of great things last Pro League where FaZe got second place, played really, really well overall. They got to stay consistent, and they got Rack Attack nearby. This would be a decent fight for FaZe if they decide to take it. Rockanishu's going to get tagged down to 50 HP. Will heal back up. Only cells in the hands of Rack, I believe, unless he's holding on to that shield bat for now. So we got FaZe and Rack Attack nearby with the bots rotating through. First attempt, Oxygen, and a few others in the vicinity.
Actually griefed their meds there too, wondering how they're going to utilize the crypto in this situation, just for intel and if the EMP comes out, because you could expect other squads to be close to FaZe. Probably squads trying to rotate from the southern side into that next circle. Rack does hear the other remaining squads in the area, but aren't poking just yet. First attempt at a fight now over on the other side, trying to see if they can find a way to close in the gap with this R301. You see the missile swarm off to the right, so if they fully send it, they're going to be in the line of sight of another team.
Yeah, enemy with a lot of numbers. That's Enemy Go, former member of Luminosity. Slept on to be taken out here. A team again that needed to perform today. They fall to the hands of LG. Here comes first attempt nearby. Again, former member of LG. Oh, good beam's gonna come through with the G7 Scout. That'll be the basically green light for this squad. His teammates to maybe push up. Saucer's gonna do exactly that. Oxyberry's gonna follow, and here comes the push. Almost gets the knock, not quite yet, but this team is just pushing right into the hands of where FaZe and Rack Attack are.
And it's Optic Gaming that are actually the ones suppressing them over on the other side. So while First Attempt are trying to fully send it onto this team, they have to watch out to their left because it's Optic Gaming who are taking chunks out of their health. They're backing up. They send up the Seer ult so that way they can have any information from any pushing squads. And they're going to try to utilize the Skyward Dive. It doesn't get canceled, but Enemy Eagle loses out on his shield.
Yeah, down to 20 HP. If anyone decides to look up, they'll get themselves a free knock and free KP on Enemigo, but instead, they rotate. But this is the get out of jail free card we talked about, right? This is a, okay, panic button. Let's hit a Valk ult and hope for the best. And guess what? That best is going to be center zone, but not a lot of cover to work with.
Oh, where does he go? Grenade after grenade. I would be surprised if he actually manages to survive, and he actually does. He avoids the Arc Star, he avoids the frag. At Space Station on the inside of this building have sent out that Seer ult to see where the other squads are. This may be G2 who are trying to rotate from the outskirts of that other building that we saw them in.
Yep, Space Station. Oh, gonna get a crack here initially. It's Space Station, G2, and 2 members of Complexity left alive in this fight. Only one team will make it. Who's it gonna be? Space Station, SSG, trying to make a play as Nile tries to break ice, but G2, we know how good they are in these close range fights.
See if they can force their way inside this building, but Space Station have fenced it all the way up. Great defense here from Space Station. You can see Drop just trying to take a look over to the left. They're playing at an Evo Shield disadvantage here as G2 are going to try to force their way in. You already see Jet right now, or rather Designful now popping the Beast of the Hunt here while trying to scan.
That's right. Elsewhere, NRG's lighting it up. Well, they're going to get lit up themselves. They get eliminated. Yet another 15th place finish for NRG. Not the showing that they want. Look at the kill feed. Rack Attack out to the hands of FaZe. FaZe takes out all 3 members of Rack, and they will get all of the positioning here, but still have to rotate themselves. Meanwhile, this fight continues. Space Station, G2, all nearby. Complexity also in the vicinity. Again, only one team is going to survive, and this fight is just being prolonged here for just 48 more seconds.
Complexity just taking to the skies. You saw that Newcastle ult just taking it like he's a superhero, flying very high. And Space Station are like, what's going on over here? We're just going to stay put inside of this building right now. They see the other squad over on the other side. You see the pings, but they have to start moving soon in less than 30 seconds.
No, we're going to gamble with a little bit of a listen in here. My money's on Space Station to survive this fight. Let's jump into a listen in with Space Station Gaming.
Shit on high.
Shit on.
We're good. He's just sitting on height. Listen, we just pushed the choke late. I'm mech hitting. We have to push up
I
here
have
soon.
the armor swap. Yes, I know. I have the armor swap.
Okay, I'm mech hitting.
I'm batting. Do we not Valko?
No. We
Okay,
fight for the
okay.
choke. It's a...
I'm a little behind.
He's not even here. He's not even here.
Okay.
He's not even here at all. We have it.
Nice. Coming up.
Yes, just set... There's a team right around this corner on the left.
Are you sure it's not the solo?
I have no idea. No fucking idea. The solo, yes.
No one behind us, right? No one behind us?
Back. You're good. We're good. I'm getting heartbeats on the left side now. I'm looking.
Okay.
It's two minimum. It's a full team, I think. He might have
that's
just res,
fine.
yeah.
I'm watching
Fine.
our back just in case.
We're good, bro.
Okay.
Be careful.
I'm backing up. It's multiple teams. I need heavy. Heavier light.
I have one
Here. I got a wingman.
Careful, they might
Grab
be
all this
good.
hit. Grab all
Might
this
be
heavy.
good.
Grab all this heavy. Yes, grab all this heavy.
Ewing. We're still safe, boys. We have God spot.
Okay,
Yeah.
never mind. I'm backing
Look
up.
at how deep.
I'm fucking deep right now. Hold up.
Careful, they might swing. Just look.
And
Yeah.
we just
Can you
fucking
watch that so I
have...
can look for KP? Can you watch the left so I can look for KP?
I mean, I can.
Up on them a little bit.
Oh, no, we're fine. I'm just looking over here on the right. I just need to look right.
Well, we gambled correctly. Love that listen-in with Space Station. Freck showing why he is so underrated as an IGL, so decisive. And here comes a big fight, though. Optic Gaming find themselves in a 3v3. Skittle and Duplex going to take some damage here. Skittle's going to get one knock to start. It's going to be the LG.
Oh, LG that was actually hanging out underneath him the whole time. Optic Gaming that were pinging another squad from afar come out on top after this fight and delete Luminosity. The two teams that were hanging out in the overall leaderboards in the top two of the group standings now are going to be able to take that fight. Optic Gaming now going to try to fully send it over to the left side. Nobody's looking at Dupe right now here too. He's got the G7 from Big Mod. He's going to be able to back up because Nock takes way too much damage. They're going to try to reset here, but they have to start moving in less than 5 seconds now.
Yeah, that's right. If we could pull up the map, you'll see exactly how Optic has to face this rotation. It's 100 Thieves up to their top left. They have 3 teams to their right, 4 teams. Team Liquid, MPS, FaZe, and Oxygen. This is a tough rotate for Optic. Valk ult might be necessary. Valk ult, it will be. Here comes the rotate. They expect them to potentially try and take Godspot from Space Station. You heard SSG in the listen and say, we have Godspot, we have the win condition. Optic trying to say otherwise, and Space Station immediately looks up.
What an angle to take the Skyward Dive. They're going to be playing underneath this building right here. They know that nobody's on the outskirts right here. Nobody's going to pressure them out on the rooftop. They're going to be trying to pressure out another squad off to the right side. You see the 2 knocks coming in. Team Liquid get eliminated in the kill feed as well. Optic Gaming in a really good position to work off of this.
That's right. Liquid, FaZe both out. Oxygen eliminated as well. MPS still alive. 100 Thieves in the same building as Optic. Space Station still has Godspot, and Complexity still ratting. But finally, Complexity's going to get spotted out by Dark Zero, who will likely eliminate the last member of Complexity, I believe. Again, this is all information in the kill feed, but 6 squads remain. Anmu going to get the first knock, breaking ice a little bit against Madness.
See Optic Gaming now still playing on the outskirts of this 100 Thieves, trying to figure out where they're going to go from inside of this building. They don't want to give this free space over to Optic Gaming, who are sharing some of that space on the high ground. Complexity get deleted, though, in the kill feed. That last straggler out from Dark Zero, but Optic Gaming lose out on Nox.
Yeah, Vaxlon with the car just made an absolute play. Keyboard and mouse sensation right there, and Vax being the one to initiate. 100 Thieves now gonna have a 3v2 against Optic. One member of Optic is gonna be sent flying. Duplex is gonna run immediately into his death. It's Shuby, the last member of MPS, and Optic Gaming is out in 5th.
Optic Gaming just threw all the spaghetti on the floor right there. Like you were mentioning before, Vaxon with the absolute beamage here. 100 Thieves being inside of this building for so long has granted them passage into this next circle, because the circle is going to be pulling right in front of them. They're going to have to funnel out of here eventually, but they got all the time in the world to take their time.
That's right. Newcastle Ultimate going to come through. They're going to use that cover to basically just reign supreme. Meanwhile, Dark Zero going to actually find the last rat of Shubi. He just stops playing. He gets taken out. And now it all comes down to 3 final teams. Dark Zero in a really bad spot right now. Somehow going to reset barely. As actually, I take that back. Jen Burton eliminated Zero out as well. This will be a 3v3 Space Station versus 100 Thieves, basically.
Space Station, 100 Thieves versus Dark Zero right here.
Hey, they get the res? No, there's no way.
Playing off the back end? I mean, you're playing off of very limited cover. They're taking off angles. Dark Zero finally get taken out. Yep, it was just a matter of time. 100 Thieves, though, climbing their way to the top. Vaxon's going to be taking off angle. No one's focusing on him just yet, but look to your left. Armo gets taken out. It's only up to Scurry, and Space Station come out on top and take it over 100 Thieves.
Wow, and you see some body shots come through as well from SSG. You already know these guys are hyped up. You heard it in the listen, and you heard so much angst from them. They needed to perform here. They did. SSG wins game number 4. So well played. Such great calls from Frex saying, hey, look, we don't need to Valcall. We can just walk this into the choke. It's a rat that's there. We have God Spot. Great comms from SSG, led by the mouse and keyboard turned controller player in Frex. And in the end, SSG wins the 3v3 against 100 Thieves.
I love what we saw there. And, you know, you mentioned SSG, you mentioned Frex, a history in Apex Legends, getting into NRG and kind of rising to, I don't know, acclaim in terms of the pro scene. Obviously had a ton of talent, didn't quite mesh with that squad. NRG at that time was trading a lot of different players in and out. They still are, it seems like, trying to find their perfect fit. But Frex found his home at SSG and has consistently been one of those players that I think makes plays. And let's say goodbye to Fallout here as he takes a quick break. Man, you deserve it. Vicky, come on in. Let's talk a little bit about this SSG matchup, and specifically 100 Thieves here as well, because both of those teams have had barely any chances compared to maybe when you look at Group A to play and showcase their stuff. Group A already on their 4th showcase here. This is Group C's 3rd. So we've only been able to see 100 Thieves and SSG twice now, but they both performed really, really well. And it seems like today is no different.
Yeah, when we talk about Space Station specifically, this is a team that I feel like is lacking inconsistency, and I think that's been the biggest problem for this squad. Sitting overall in 17th place in North America, they're looking to put a dent to that because they want to be in the top 9, so that way they can make it to playoffs. They want to have an opportunity to be as dominating as they were when we had seen them at their top form. So Space Station taking that W is a really good look for them.
And you know what? I think this also, again, remember, they've only played 2 of the games that now we're seeing Team A already have 4 of. And in those placements, they got 5th place and they got 11th place. So maybe not exciting numbers, but consistent numbers. And obviously the ability to win games. That's something that always has separated SSG for me specifically, the ability to win games. Frex and this squad, they kind of jumped in on Horizon on Stormpoint when that character was not really played very much, got no buffs, still has gotten no buffs. In fact, it's gotten nerfs and has only become more of a part of the meta. They were one of the first ones to claim that one in the new maps introductions. But again, the innovation, sometimes the buck stops when teams play too well, and you saw Optic Gaming have a chance to do it. Dark Zero, they looked like they had a chance to do it, Vicky, but at the end of the day, it was 100 Thieves and SSG who had better positions overall.
Yeah, seeing Space Station come out on top for a lot of these fights, they look very confident in that. And not only that, remember, game number 2, they lost that 1v1 versus Optic Gaming. They got 2nd place in that game. They finally claimed the dub in game number 4 on World's Edge. But this is one of those squads where they take game 1 on World's Edge, you can expect them to really pop off going on to game number 5, because they are basically one of those build-up squads.
Yeah, and let's see how the build-up has been built. Look at this, 9 kills and 12 points equals a 20-point bomb, 21-point bomb for Space Station. 100 Thieves right behind them with 18 points there. Dark Zero kind of getting off to the races. And MPS, a team that also, in my opinion, is somebody we need to talk a little bit more about. They placed 9th in the first time that we ended up seeing them, but they continue to kind of try to find themselves in higher positions, and they found 5th in day number 4. So these are really good showcases of what this team is able to do. I think we maybe haven't noticed them so much because their day 1 opener, they were actually placing 13th. So it wasn't anything to talk about. It was in that back half. Maybe MPS is a team we've got to shout out here as well, Vicky, as we take a look at the next page, bringing our bottom 10 of what happened here in game number 4.
Yeah, we definitely got to talk about MPS because they're also one of those squads on that borderline, sitting in 9th in the overall NA standings. As we take a look at the second page, though, G2 still stay on that second page. Sentinels not having the best game on World's Edge, where I was actually expecting them to be a lot more confident and comfortable alongside NRG and Guard. I know NRG's been testing out different things, but have been having a pretty rough day for this day number 5.
0 points for the Guards, 0 points for Sentinels. Sometimes that just means a mismatch in terms of landing location. Sometimes it just means a mismatch in terms of how the groups like to play this and not leaning in towards your strengths. It'll be something they have to overcome if they want to continue this day. And as the day stands, 4 gone by, 5 coming up, and 6 to end it all. Sentinels, Luminosity, 100 Thieves, Optic Gaming, and Space Station round out our top 5. What will the rest of today hold? We will certainly find out, but we're going to take a quick break here, come back with game 5. Myself and Vicky Kitty will be on the cast to see who could set themselves up for an epic win. Apex Legends Global Series, Monster Energy, your official energy drink for the ALGS.
WD Black is the official storage partner of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Welcome back, game 5 here. We didn't get the trumpets this time around, Vicky, or actually the piccolo or the recorder or the flute, whatever it is. If you're a wind instrument major, I don't know, but we love to hear the vocals. Obviously on cast, we'll be casting this next game as well as match 5 is getting underway. The players are loaded up. We appreciate you hanging around here in chat. Let us know what you think about today. Go ahead and spam who you think will win in either chat, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Twitch. Hey, maybe you're interacting with us on Twitter. Go ahead and let us know who you think is taking the day. Right now, Vicky, it's time to get your thoughts as well as we head into match 5. Who do you think's taking it?
I'm gonna have to say it's gotta be Luminosity. I feel like Luminosity is gonna stay consistent, and I feel like they've been having a pretty nice performance in being in that top 5 spot in themselves. By the way, Rainy, they're wind chimes. They're rather not wind chimes.
Wind chimes.
I was gonna say wind chimes originally because you know they're flowing in the wind. And I'm just like fluttering the hands. You know what I mean? But like they're part of the band.
They're those things you play with the stick, right? Basically, they look like wind chimes. I forget if they're actually called that. And you just run the silver stick across them back and forth to create that little melody. Hey, you're a part of the band, you know. You're making the music. You know, somebody said you don't want a mad tambourine player. No one likes that. So there's a job. Everyone's got to do it. Sometimes you're on display. These teams, though, on display. It's definitely been the story of Liquid, of 100 Thieves, of LG. Even CLG in some ways. Complexity having some consistent performances, and Space Station as well. I think really after winning that last game, have to put them in the favorites alongside Optic Gaming. But as you can already see here, a southeastern zone, Vicky, and so that is setting up in Lava City right near where Optic Gaming are already sitting pretty.
And this is going to be a tricky circle. We've seen the circle end up to the southeast side of Lava Siphon, sometimes pulling towards the bridge between Lava Siphon and Big Mod. So like you said, this is definitely going to favor the likes of Optic Gaming. I'm looking at Dark Zero that usually lands in Lava Siphon. I'm wondering if there's a beacon in that middle building of Lava Siphon, but something that Dark Zero has been doing to actually get ahead of the curve is these quick rotates. They immediately get the loot that they need, they get the beacon off of Rip, and then they're going to immediately rotate. So they're probably already going to situate themselves on the outskirts of Lava Siphon to the south, so that way they can predict where that final circle is going to be.
In many ways, Dark Zero is a team that can always beat you in a 3v3 if, you know, let Sharky and Jin Burton at Zero, who unequivocally is the best IGL in Apex Legends. You cannot discount the fact that when it's time to do it at LAN, he gets it done, whether he's got Jin Burton in his full squad or a sub. Either way, this is something that is not going to be disputed until another LAN happens, but it hasn't had the most exciting performance today. Only 17 points on the day, puts him in the back half of the lobby. Today might be, or this game might be, truly a changing point for them. They do have 2 more as NRG. What to say about them, Vicky? The pickup of Gildersons just hasn't been their day so far. Only 8 points. Haven't won a lot of 3v3s. Haven't made it to a lot of final 8s. Maybe this is the sign of something to change. We know they can do it. It's just a matter of, you know, when they stop stopping themselves.
Yeah, the issue with NRG is that they've been getting double-digit placements. 17th, 13th, 13th, little to no KP, so they haven't really been able to build up their confidence. As we take a look at the guard, they got a crack. They're gonna be able to just back away from that fight though, because they know that they're making a lot of noise while other squads are in the middle of rotating, leaving Lava Siphon. RKN though in a lot of trouble. Ooh. He leaves with literally 1 health. He's gonna be able to take that W for right now. Hopefully the rest of the squads can help cover him, but it is NRG that we were just talking about before, and this is the squad that is contesting him on the high ground.
Maybe a little bit more aggressiveness coming out from Sweet, who in my opinion, I think is outside of Hal and outside of maybe Kashira, the way Kashira's playing right now. And of course, we already mentioned Zero. That's the top frag, some of the best in the world. But you got to get those results. Otherwise, the conversation continues and you give people the chance to have something to say about you. Right now, Dark Zero getting a chance to win a 3v3. Watson Fences making it tough for Jin Burton to peek his head in and out, but they've got the defense there and the capability to hold. Sharky looking for an arc star, and it's going to bounce around that corner. It's going to do tons of damage, but again, they got to get through the fences first, and that's just going to give them some time. Optic Gaming, though, as we pass over to them, Skittlecakes is down and out. We've got to make sure Nox and Duplex can hold it here, but it looks like they're getting aggressed on quite heavily. As Protectful up in your screen actually goes down to Sharky from that earlier Dark Zero fight. And Sharky, it seems like, will take down Oxygen Esports as well. So a lot of action happening early game in Game 5.
Yeah, Oxygen was sharing that building with Dark Zero, who Dark Zero did come out on top after that fight. Nox can't pull off the shield bat. Unfortunately, that Seer attack is going to stop him short. He's just going to disengage right now. I love how Optic Gaming's playing extremely shoulder to shoulder, just so that way they can help get the reset. Rack Attack with the Heartbeat Sensor is just going to be able to peek to see which of these squads are going to try to overextend. You can see the Mad Maggie as well, the tactical coming in. Playing the Mad Maggie out here, though, is going to be interesting. We don't really get to see that very often, especially in these lobbies.
Yeah, and it tends to be maybe one of those things that's a lot riskier unless you are committed. And we have several teams that are, you know, committed. Aurora Gaming's committed to playing off Meta Legends. They'll run a Mad Maggie. They've done it even last season and even at playoffs and at LAN. We saw today, too, CLG committed to running the Catalyst. Will this be maybe the catalyst for their improvement in kind of their recognition across the board in North America? Because they've been a team that's been here. They've been in competitive Apex for a minute, but have not reached the upper echelons of respect, I think, in terms of some of the names that you consider favorites to win LANs, to win big events. Will that change? I think this is always a good way to do it, Vicky. You kind of put yourself on the map and make, you know, stake a claim. And sometimes it works out, and it really, really works out. And you kind of shift the way people think about the game. So chances across the board for all that. Not sure if the Maggie's going to take, but I sure would love to see more Catalyst.
Yeah, so something to change things up a bit. Even if it's not the Catalyst that they're bringing out to this game, it is going to be that Mad Maggie that Mamba's on. CLG are holding that choke point. that exit out of Big Mod into Geyser. You can see Optic Gaming holding onto the high ground of Big Mod. This is where Optic Gaming usually lands, and we saw already the chaos go down in Lava City between Dark Zero and Oxygen. Look how many teams are already in this next circle here too. Very highly contested. Looking at Lava Siphon, looks like there's going to be that fight going on between NRG and Luminosity, as we were highlighting NRG not having the best day that they really wanted to aim for, especially changing up their team comp. It is something to expect when it comes to bringing something different to the table, but it's extremely risky if they want to secure their own spot for LAN.
The guard in the mix down below as well, and taking a look at the map will always bounce back in between. That is such an integral part of how you play Apex Legends. Right now we saw some early skirmishing, but it seems to have stopped with 19 squads still remaining. Round 1 about to close. Changes to the circle in Apex. Started that close a lot earlier in Season 14, and it's continued in Season 15 with some tweaks to how much damage it does. But the name of the game is just, you see where the circle's going to be, and you got to move a little bit faster if it's farther away from you, or take some storm damage. That's where the replicators come into handy for these players, and you'll see them sometimes just commit to staying in the zone a little bit longer. Teams like Team Liquid, Sentinels as well, first attempt, even G2 right now, in a possibility of that occurring. But the zone's still yet to move here in round 2. They got the time to kind of settle it out, Vicky. And Luminosity, ooh, dodging a couple sniper shots. Jaguar is trying to get back inside of the safety of his team.
Yeah, Luminosity knows that NRG are right underneath them. I love Guild's priorities with that black market. It's all about getting that RE45. It's okay if you still have to rock the white Evo shield. It's fine. You can put down the blue Evo shields. Don't pick it up from the black market. It's all about that RE45. It's about making a statement with those disruptor rounds.
Luminosity Gaming on 37 points on the day. One of the favorites, I think, to take it. Vicky, you had them taking the win, and I certainly wouldn't disagree with you. I feel like Optic Gaming have put themselves in a good enough position, though, to maybe make a statement today in North America. It tends to be that the conversation just leans towards some of these bigger org names. And, you know, when TSM and when Optic are in the mix, you tend to talk about those two going head-to-head. You tend to put them in conversation with NRG, some competition. But it's nice to see this lobby here the way it is, because I feel like we're getting a real showcase of the personality of these teams isolated from any of that rivalry, right? They're just really playing, I think, and everyone is hustling for points. They know this is a day 5 that will impact quite a lot of changes here. And Sentinels can't say enough about their performance today. Sitting 6th here, a win would do wonders for them and setting them up for a game 6 that could possibly make them take first place in this tournament.
Especially when we talk about teams like MPS, the teams that aren't those big names that you would expect to stay consistent. The Optic Gaming, we haven't talked about them much before today because they've been rather quiet, like we highlighted in the pre-show. So to see them have a great standout performance today is nice, because is this the start to Optic Gaming figuring out what they could do better instead of playing the edge of the circle that hasn't been working out for them, since we've seen them play more position than anything when Valkyrie was first starting to become a very powerful legend to have on your team composition. 100 Thieves being another one of those squads to first utilize the Watson and Newcastle, and they're using it in such a unique way, which it works and plays into their own playstyle. Very passive. They're playing for positioning. You can see them gaining a lot more of those Evo shield charges just based off of their weapon loadout with the longbow in Scurry's hands.
One of the things I think is so important about this team is they've committed to this Newcastle, Watson, Valkyrie lineup before anyone else. And you just flash back to LAN and you see, yes, first place, it screams a lot. Dark Zero back-to-back. Second place, well, that's the Furia Maniac run, where they basically got more KP than, you know, anybody combined, and ended up taking second place, $300,000 richer after all of that. But sitting in 5th place, a cool 100 grand, that was 100 Thieves. And they made the kind of statement of, this is going to be the new meta. Since then, Newcastle has only gotten stronger. They've only committed to that more, and it has paid dividends for them. Can they show the lobby yet again that they might be sleeping on this meta, sitting in 3rd place? I certainly believe that this game could be the changing point for them here. As Liquid do a skyward dive underneath the bridge, setting up for a little bit of late game, or a little bit of mid game here, Vicky.
Yeah, guys got to slip and slide a little bit to avoid some of these stray shots from other squads that wanted to pinpoint your spot after that skyward dive. Sentinels now who've been having a great standoff performance, sitting overall in 5th place. And these game number 5s are always my favorite because this really is what determines how these squads should be playing, whether they should be playing extra aggressive. You can see with the Zero ult on the outskirts of this fence line that it's not going to get contested. It's not going to get broken by this other team inside. See the gravity, the black hole rather, coming in and finally fully sending it out to Onmu, who was left by himself on the first floor. What capitalization from Sentinels.
It's like when the scout doesn't come back, you know there's an army a little too close for comfort, and that's what Sentinels have just given 100 Thieves an indication of, and it's not going to matter because they've got to go in. They're all out. Sentinels, are you kidding me? The number 4 squad now takes down number 3. Anyone standing in their way seems like they have a chance to get it, and Sentinels dishing it all out whenever they find themselves fit. What a play, and now what momentum Sentinels have heading into the next part of this game.
100 Thieves got deleted. Onmu was not ready for that. He heard the squad from outside and he was like, wait a minute, there's definitely another team nearby here. He was not expecting Sentinels to just charge in and burst down, not just his health, but through those open doors. Now Sentinels are going to be able to take up this building, get some extra loot. You can see the ultimate accelerants going down as well because the black hole was used up earlier on for that fight, so that way they can split some of the attention to engage onto 100 Thieves cleanly.
Enemy spotted.
Sentinels in their new territory here, feeling good, just moved in. Using that passive Heartseeker. But they already know exactly where the team is, standing in front. It's been a great overall performance from them. NRG and the choke point down below, if you're keeping an eye on that. First attempt 2 up on the northern side. Basically the 2 northernmost and southernmost teams. Not full rotations yet, though, from teams like LG and Sentinels. You're noticing that they're fighting a little bit outside and trying to kind of control that zone, show presence as the movement is here. CLG switched off of the Catalyst, but look at this, Vicky. They've brought in the Maggie and they've brought in the Loba. So really a lineup I'm not sure we've seen before here. This is 2 legends that have been off picks for more of a traditional squad, but maybe not together here with just the Valkyrie.
Try something different here. And when you highlight the squads that are playing on the outskirts of the circle right now, I'm looking at Slept on G2, first attempt who are trying to circle keep some of these teams like Sentinels, and other squads that are just trying to take a longer rotation to the south of Lava Siphon, because with CLG holding this choke point closer to Geyser, it's going to be difficult to make much noise and then safely get deeper into the circle with little to no cover after you exit out of that choke point.
Yeah, they have a really good angle here, and obviously they've got the safety of the truck, so it's going to be tough. CLG, we know they like to get their fight on. I think staring right next to them is FaZe on the other side of Big Mod, and first attempt as well from that choke. So 3 teams posturing here. Team Liquid still on the outside. First attempt, the team that maybe sees not a lot of opportunities, but that Sentinel's in the air above them. The G7 Scout whiffs for an Amigo, formerly of Luminosity Gaming, now found a team of his own, and as we speak of them, here they are, 5th place squad trying to make it through the choke. They'll be okay here, Vicky, as they actually don't have anyone to their back, but making it out is going to be the issue because they're going to run into Team Smiley, Dark Zero, MPS, and Space Station outside of that choke, and that's just if they're lucky.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to be able to get out of this without getting shot at. Maybe capitalizing off of a fight happening inside that building where Dark Zero, Team Smiley, Space Station, FPS are all distracted, so they're not looking down the open mouth of that tunnel. I can see why Luminosity wanted to rotate in that direction. Looking at their team comp, they're playing close quarters, so it would allow the Caustic to elevate their own gameplay with the Caustic barrels, but now they're stuck inside of that cave for this next circle. So we're going to have to see what Luminosity plan to do if they could get out of the line of sight of the squad that's holding onto the rooftop over by Lava City. We take a look at Sentinels still putting in some pressure. G2 on the outskirts design still rocking the blue Evo shield.
We want to step it up to purple at this point in the game. About to be round 5. Designful knows it. Doesn't have great weapons. No, I take that back. The wingman will certainly do the job there. Might not be as good as a Bocek bow or a G7 Scout, but it'll certainly be able to poke from distance safely. As NRG find themselves the ones poking back at G2, and maybe it's a headshot or 2 that is just told Designful, this fight isn't worth it. There's too much danger on the other side of it. As Nathan and Gilderson's the newest member of NRG playing the Lobo will hold to this background, but they're gonna have to do something relatively soon, Vicky. They can't play this wall. And they want to clear G2 from behind their back because that's, of course, the team that can really play spoiler to them as they move forward. And so I wonder what NRG are going to do here. Are they going to push through for this? Are they going to wait for G2 to make a move? They will have to do something before NRG, so maybe patience is the name of the game here, and that's what Sweet's telling them.
They're gonna start moving soon. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the Skyward dive, because even if they walk into this next circle, they're gonna be playing off the low ground. We can expect a squad already underneath the bridge, so I think they are gonna have to take the Skyward dive. Sentinel's playing on the other side of the wall, and look who has the high ground. It's gotta be Team Liquid with the Rampage all charged up. Say hello to my little friend. Is Nocturnal gonna back away in time? CLG get cleaned up from this lobby. 16 squads left, and expect this to be a bloodbath with the circle closing in.
Unreal. Liquid and Sentinels are fighting here. This is the fight you're looking at from above. Liquid have a full advantage, and I'm pretty sure they're going to get it down very, very soon. But over on the other side of things, NRG is also skyward dove, and they have found themselves well in front. And if you can see here from the kill feed, there are just a multitude of madness. I feel like I'm in the multiverse here and calling somebody to come assist me. You can see Liquid, none of that is paid attention to. They are just shooting down below on the Sentinels. This is what happens when you have a good position, Vicky. You just avoid all of that chaos late game of people trying to squeeze into places they don't belong.
You purposely put your squad in a position where your back is at least covered. You have that natural landform of the rock right to your back to ensure that you're not going to get sandwiched. You're going to ensure that any squad that does try to push you is also going to have their backs exposed to any of the squads that are rotating outside of Big Mod. So this is a really great position for Team Liquid to play off of, but they're not in this next circle. Let's see how they're going to force their way into this next circle, because we saw NRG take to the skies with the Skyward dive. Doesn't look like they were contested looking at the kill feed and looking at all the other squads that dropped. With 7 teams left, we still got Team Liquid in the fray. We got NRG, Team Smiley, G2, Space Station, Sentinels, and FaZe left.
Well, he's been called by the CEO of Apex Legends, Imperial House, probably doing a watch party right now. The best IGL and the only one that he'd let coach his team and lead them to victory. Let's go ahead and take a listen in to what Liquid and NRG have to do in terms of their potential clash.
Hold aggressive on this. This is our problem.
They queued up into the spot.
Okay.
G2 is in here now.
There's a team.
80, 100. We need to focus this.
Okay.
This.
Okay. I only have 40 bullets of energy, bro.
Okay.
I'm 30 bullets of car. We're chilling.
We have to get this.
G2's up, looking at us.
I got rid of the drone.
Nice.
G2 wasted Horizon Q,
This
bro.
is guard. They're going away. They missed their opportunity to EMP. They're going away.
G2 wasted Horizon Q. Yes.
Kill G2.
We need to look at them. We need to look over.
Look at me now.
They're right here. They're right here.
I'm gonna ult. You ready?
Yep.
Bloodhound's at 80. Bloodhound's 80.
We don't drop. Don't drop.
Nade if you can. Nade if you can.
Don't have any.
You can angle through the slit. They're all jumping.
We have to watch the Horizon Q here.
Yep.
They're about to do it. They're about to do it right now. I have an angle on it.
So be careful. You're gonna shot in the back.
I'm stalling. They're gonna wait for the ult before they queue.
I'm shooting them.
Yeah. I don't have bullets to shoot them.
Okay.
I only have 70 bullets and then a charge, bro. I have a gen here. They can't ult it.
I'm queuing.
They're gonna do it in a second.
Kill.
Shoot the blood!
Blood 50.
Nice.
How's it cracked?
Horizon's one. They fell all the way down.
I'm on low. I'm playing low.
I need your spray. I need your spray gun.
Okay. Here.
I need your rampage.
I have no ammo.
I need your rampage or something.
Crypto 80. Crypto 90.
Fence this all.
I don't have any bullets.
Everything.
I have no bullets.
None for what?
I literally. I can switch.
Fucking fell again. We need to get these G2 kills. We need to get these G2 kills.
Yeah, I agree.
They have to queue up again, and they don't.
Do you need bats or no?
No.
Right here. Watch for this lift. They're gonna do it in a second. Lifting.
You're good. 101.
How's the flush?
100. Bang is one.
Bang, blood.
Blood one. Last guy's behind us somewhere.
I punched him down.
Play my shield.
I'm batting.
Yep.
He's gonna die low ground.
Play my. You need to walk up.
He died his zone.
That's me.
You have gold res. No, you have.
They don't know he's down.
Yep.
I'm med kitting.
And would you believe it, Team Liquid take down G2. All the meanwhile, the chaos of NRG also happening where they've set up. You thought they were in a tough spot. They have found themselves in a great spot here with FaZe up, now turning into FaZe down. A snipe down ends up falling. Vicky, we have 2 squads left. It is NRG versus Liquid for the win.
Did Team Liquid have the opportunity to reset? I don't think they did. Now Team Liquid are playing out of the health disadvantage, and NRG take the W for game number 5 where they desperately needed it.
I had a feeling, and it ended up being right with, unfortunately, some moments that are so great are not caught on camera, and that's when you're going to have to go back to the VOD for. You might have to watch Sweet's channel because they had a skyward dive there that was equally as impressive as what Liquid did to fend off G2 and push in to make that top 2 spot. Both teams absolutely clashed at the very end of it. Fallout, and welcome back, man. What a great ending to that game where we saw 2 teams, a lot of history, a lot of rivalry actually kind of built up to have a 3v3 to go at it to finish off the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I literally went upstairs, got myself a bowl of ice cream, put some chocolate syrup on it, and was just enjoying the heck out of that late game right there. I mean, Team Liquid versus G2, that fight, so unique. Moments like that are why you love Apex Legends. One of the most unique fights. There's a sliver in the train tracks that gives them the opportunity to get some damage in. Liquid playing that fight to perfection. G2 obviously doing what they can, but they get second place as a result. What we missed in all of that, though, is how many kills did NRG get? I mean, they needed a big game. They certainly had it. A first place finish in game number 5, but the question, Vicky, is how many kills did they get? I think quite a few.
I'm curious as well because I didn't get to see since we tuned into them at the very, very end right there. But what Rainday was saying, they got the skyward dive on the outskirts of Lava City, did not get contested on the outer parts of the eggshell of that dome north of Lava City. And the fact that they still held that down and contested teams like FaZe, I want to see how the end of that game played out because we saw how intense that fight was between Team Liquid and G2, and it looked fantastic. But then there was always action happening on the southern side of that fight between NRG versus FaZe.
And that's the thing. That's why we literally call out Multiview, because you could have watched both of those perspectives. I'm sure the fans who had the idea, let me see NRG, let me see Liquid, saw that clash building, and it was just this great bit of theater that ended up ultimately in the best possible way you could have had, a 3v3 to finish it all. NRG too, really they made all that work happen for them during a skyward dive that happened right around now. There were 12 squads left. You could see, look at that kill feed that's happening. It's basically got us to 7 squads, and that's when NRG found themselves near that eggshell. Liquid, though, had to do the work at the end of it, Fallout, and they had to make sure that they could get past G2, and it was not easy. G2, in a bad situation, made it very, very hard for Liquid to come out on top.
Yeah, that's right. Team Liquid ended up coming out on top overall, but it took them some time, and G2 obviously, didn't have damage, knocking one of them to put Liquid right on their back foot just slightly. That gave NRG the upper hand in this last fight. Ultimately, Liquid wins this one, and NRG takes out Space Station. This is the fight we didn't necessarily see. The SSG versus NRG skirmish. FaZe gets taken out, and NRG wins that fight and wins the late game with relative ease, Vicky.
Yeah, well, right here too, you saw them getting pinged right behind them because of the split fire from G2, and because of that, they had to immediately go into this final fight right here with the health disadvantage that NRG was able to come out right on top after finishing off FaZe. They cleaned up FaZe, and then they cleaned up Team Liquid. Look at this, 17 kills? Are you kidding me? That's huge for NRG.
North American record.
I mean, that not only biggest win of the day for North America, but might be the most points you've seen across EMEA. I think Ascend, they won a lot, but they don't think they had higher than a 29 point today.
Yeah,
John,
exactly.
If I'm wrong.
Today, the highest for sure. NRG with a 17 kill game overall. EMEA got pretty close. EMEA has 19 total on the entire split, but hands down, a dominant game for NRG. Not even a question.
Yeah, Vicky, I mean, look at this. Team Liquid, FaZe actually having a nice performance. Space Station staying consistent, in G2 maybe waking up a little bit with the likes of Sentinel and Optic Gaming staying in there.
It's crazy. I'm still looking at that 17-point game for NRG. They had the game that they absolutely needed. Team Liquid still remaining consistent, though. Getting top 2 in this situation has allowed Team Liquid to feel pretty comfy in the group standings. Now, I'm wondering how this is going to skyrocket energy in the overall standings as well, because before this game, I believe they were sitting at, 17th place before Game 5?
Well, let's take a look at the bottom half of things and teams that have maybe not been performing. You know, MPS was kind of edging their way up there. The Guard had a really good game, but they had a really tough couple of game 4 and 5s that really did not go their way. Once that moment on Storm Point happened and they were locked in with the Newcastle wall, maybe from Fun FPS, just a little bit of a mental shake-up as well as a physical shake-up and trying to slide over that one and still recovering. 100 Thieves, though, big disappointment for them in game 5, and let's see where it's landed every single person. Wow, NRG to 7th place, now vying with another 29-point game. It's possible they could win this entire day, guys. And I don't know, definitely looking like a top 3 placement is in the mix if they keep playing like this, Fallout.
Yeah, that's right. It's a big if. They got to do it here in game 6, but this has almost become the NRG blueprint, not necessarily the best blueprint to build a foundation on. It's not starting strong, finishing great. NRG with monstrous games. Their highs are so high, their lows are low, but here we are going into game 6. They're still in contention, much like they've done all season long, Vicky.
Yes, 10 spots. That's 10 spots that NRG moved up in the overall leaderboards after that one game, game number 5, that huge game. As you can see, a playoff in the very end of this final circle in game number 5. You could see the Seer ult coming out from Team Liquid so that way they could get all the information necessary. But they had little to no cover to work with, and they weren't able to fully reset before that previous fight.
Really just a performance to remember from NRG. And this is, you're right, John, kind of their blueprint. I'm not sure it's the blueprint that they want. It's the blueprint that a lot of their fans get frustrated with because it takes a long time to get going. But when they get going, you do feel like, man, maybe the wait was worth it. I hope so. And game 6 is not a low scoring, low placement game, because if they do turn another one around, a top 5 finish, a big kill game, that is going to say wonders for what NRG are willing to do and kind of heading into the back half of this, these day 5s through 8s.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, one thing that's been so interesting with NRG, I think they're actually going to fare better in the second half of the split. Why? Because World's Edge and Stormpoint are going to flip. And I think they're a much better World's Edge team than they are a Stormpoint team. They're also a team of momentum. I think if they can get started strong, you heard Kashera say it in his interview, it's all momentum. If you win the first couple games or do well the first couple games, you ride that confidence to a high. Apex is a game of confidence. So I think NRG as a World's Edge team will benefit in the second half of the split, where World's Edge will be the first 3 maps. But here we are going into game 6. They have an opportunity of a lifetime to place top 3 in this competition. Right now, it's Space Station on top, Optic in second, Liquid in third, though.
Vicky, thoughts? I mean, heading into game 6, who do you have your eye on? You had mentioned Luminosity Gaming. They fell a little bit to the wayside. I think maybe in 8th place now overall. Do you still have your eye on them to take it all, or has your mind shifted?
I feel like my mind has shifted a bit. I actually think that my eyes have now kind of fixated on Optic Gaming. Despite them not having the performance that they have wanted in a circle that should favor them, I feel like they're starting to rearing up towards not playing so much Edge and start playing more aggressively, which works into what Skittles, I feel like, as a player, really stands out in.
Sure thing. Well, Vicky, Fallout, thanks so much for letting us know what you think about it. Now it's time to see what happens. Get ready to enjoy a game 6 of hopefully epic proportions. Fallout, Vicky, take it away.
No longer time to think about it, time to be about it. Game number 6, once again. Apex family in the chat, blow it up right now. Let us know who you want to win game 6. It's anyone's game at this point. With Space Station in first place with 53 points, NRG in 7th with 37. They need a monstrous game if they want a first place finish, but certainly in contention for the top 3.
It's going to be absolutely insane. And looking at where this circle is going to be pulling all the way over to the north side by Overlook, Team Smiley are definitely smiling on because they're going to have that beacon control. So they're going to have that information for where this next circle is going to be pulling. Complexity as well. They're going to have the information from the beacon over by Fragment East. So they're going to move on from the loot in Fragment East and immediately start rotating. Maybe we'll see an early contention between Complexity versus Team Smiley.
Right. On board now with NRG. And Nathan, after on the heels of a great game that we saw right there in game number 5, has to go back-to-back. They need another 17 kill game if they want a 29-point win and a chance to win this day overall. Obviously, tough to do back-to-back. You know, NRG's capable of it, but they looked great in that game number 5 and have an opportunity here to do it again in game number 6. One team I've been really disappointed in terms of their performance today. Not the best showing. We haven't watched a whole lot of them on screen. Has been Complexity. And Complexity is a team that came in 4th, and 4th place in their first 3 days of Pro League action, in 4th place overall. And as my friend Doug, the producer, said it's like the Bermuda Triangle's a placement right now. Will Complexity be able to have a big game here in Game 6 to try and get some Pro League points out of the day?
I love how you had to give that credit to Doug out here. Okay, we talked about it a little bit in the break, and that Bermuda Triangle of the 4th place spots is not favoring Complexity this time around, because in the overall standings right before that previous game, they were sitting in 16th, and they're not looking as great as we were expecting from them. As you can see, Complexity now just trying to take the early positioning with the Skyward Dive. You can see the pings coming online. We noted already before that that's exactly where Team Smiley already likes to rotate, so let's see where they're going to go.
That's right. Early rotate here for Complexity. Again, playing Newcastle, changing their playstyle up quite a bit from the old days of Bloodhound and Edge and Aggressive. Is the Complexity squad who instead opts for early rotate here on this zone, and will find themselves in a good position with the rotate. Meanwhile, Sharky going to take out Bowser at the top right of your screen, so a good start for Dark Zero, who's been relatively quiet, or at least quietly performing consistently okay in today's competition.
CLG now trying to rotate around. We could see Oxygen, Complexity, Team Smiley, Optic Gaming already making their way into that next circle. CLG in a lot of trouble though. Demi having to drop all the way down. Looking great in terms of loot. You got the G7 and 3x scope, but you're getting pressured out by the squad over on the other side. The guard having to play this only as a solo for right now. Can Keon get away from that squad hanging out behind him?
And here we are in Game 6 with the guard. You know, I again mentioned it. Had just a strange feeling that we wouldn't see a great showing from the guard. I hope it's not considered a caster's curse, but sometimes that caster's intuition is a little bit strong, as we've been here before. And unfortunately right now the guard needed a big Game 6 and down to 1 player left. We'll see if they can get reses. We'll see if they can get it. CLG working their way back into Fragment.
Nano's gonna try to have to restabilize with the med kit. You got the black market to work with too if you need some additional loot at the same time to work with. No other squad to try to contest him over by Fragment West, but we see a fight going on the outskirts of Overlook by that beacon. It's the fight for the beacon that I was expecting a lot of these teams to actually contest for. MPS inside of one of these buildings, and Shubi needs to back up, needs to restabilize. Madness trying to give them some surprise fire, but they got the black market, so it's not like they have to work very hard for that loot.
That's right. MPS, you know, very similar to Dark Zero, a team that has performed just consistently or quietly well throughout the entirety of the competition today. In 8th place right now, right next to NRG, and an opportunity, if they can get that res, to make some noise and, again, be one of the only unsigned teams within the top 5 leaving today's competition. MPS, formerly MPL, played with Luda on this team before he joined Esports Arena, has done really, really well all season long, and you know, we haven't given them enough kind of credibility or recognition. Very similar to Tripods, right now in the middle of the pack overall, but some very, very consistent performances, and looks like all 3 of them are alive and well. And you got to give respect where respect is due to Madness, as an IGL who always finds a way to work his way back to the top after once being a dominant team on CLG. Madness now playing with Pow Pow, former great himself, alongside Shubi as the kind of rookie on this team.
Yeah, this is a team that's on the cusp, you know. They're 9th right now in the overall standings in North America, so this is a performance that they need to try to stay consistent in if they want to make it to land. So playing this patiently, rocking the Newcastle still and the Lobo that Madness is rocking means that they're just going to be standing in that final circle positioning to just get all the loot necessary with that black market. 100 Thieves taking a page out of the same very book. They want to play for that positioning. They want to play into the Newcastle and Watson strength, just playing patiently, but they have to look to the 6 to any of the squads leaving Fragment East.
We're having another slow start here. Only 1 team out in this competition. 19 squads still alive, and again with these northern zones, there's so much, you know, land available, an opportunity to rotate early. You see a lot of teams rotate fast, find themselves good positioning, and not necessarily fighting. FaZe, one of them that's already rotated. That's a really, really fast rotation coming through from FaZe. You see Complexity on the far, far east side of the zone. They're going to call for an eastern zone pull. But then you have all of our teams playing Edge. Looks like the guard, look all the way at the southwest side of your map, is rotating into the zone and might be finding themselves a res, question mark. We'll see if the guard can get their last 2 members alive. Meanwhile, G2, as you'd expect, playing Edge, working their way over into Harvester.
Yeah, some squads playing on the outskirts of this circle. G2 making their way in. Luminosity as well, rotating from the direction of Geyser. First attempt, taking some shots though. While they are rotating from the northern side of Climatizer, I believe that was Sentinels that were taking some shots at them. But if they don't have the information of where the circle is going to be pulling, they're going to be gatekept by the likes of Sentinels, who are going to be able to have the high ground on top of this Pride Rock.
Or the Crust. And the Sentinels roster still playing the same team composition. We saw them do some kind of wacky things this Pro League. They saw them run some Revenant at some point. A lot of different team compositions, trying some different things out with Lou on the squad. But back to the basics here with Tech currently filling in for this roster. It's going to be the kind of well, quote unquote, what we call default comp, the most common team composition, which is Horizon, Seer, and Valkyrie for them. No more interesting or off meta picks necessarily. Charge Rifle right now in the hands of Crust. And Sentinels, I believe, another one of our few all mouse and keyboard teams. 100 Thieves, a full mouse and keyboard squad, was having a healthy debate and DMs. Shout out to Noko. I wouldn't be kind of mentioning the private DMs if it wasn't for Noko being vocal on the topic, and rightfully so, around mouse and keyboard versus controller. Obviously a big debate. And, you know, overall, I personally am of the belief that it's a pretty good balance in terms of pro play. There's a lot more controller players than keyboard and mouse players in the world, and I think that's why you see a lot more controller players in top Predator ranks, etc. But I think really at the pro level, a solid balance right now, just me personally at least, Vicky.
Yeah, it's nice to see the comparison between the two in the same lobby as well, because you could see some of the shots being taken. And what would you do just for some of that extra little lick of damage of the 4 damage that the Charge Rifle gives you once it tickles you? Sometimes it can be absolutely tilting, but it's about sending a message, okay? Even for that 4 damage, it's not like it's gonna boost up your shield when you have 500 more damage so you get red, right?
Yeah, that's right. Drives you nuts. Thank goodness for pylons from Theo Watson to help you with that 6 damage that was taken as you got tickled by the Charge Rifle here. 100 Thieves currently playing within trailer over in No Name or Respawn Village, just to the east of Fragment East. And meanwhile, on the map, we do have kind of a few other teams. Team Liquid continues to kind of play edge here. They're going to be working their way into the zone, but they find themselves actually in a potential fight. As I'm looking at my side screen here, the overhead map with First Attempt. Looks like they'll avoid that fight completely. Team Liquid will work their way into Fragment East. So 100 Thieves needs to be a little bit cautious of Liquid and First Attempt just nearby. Space Station, FaZe, MPS are all the teams currently within Respawn Village.
Yeah, a lot of teams right here by that no-name spot. I'm wondering which of the teams are going to be exiting out of the southern point of the map, like Optic Gaming, who leave Big Mod, probably passing through the Geyser spot. Wondering how that's contested for a lot of the squads that are forced to actually go through Geyser, leaving Lava Siphon, if they've been getting circle kept by that choke point that's south of Fragment East. Right to the left side of Geyser, G2 making their rotation actually through that very similar choke point right now. Could be another squad right to their right, where they sometimes share some of that same land on the high ground, but this is the edge of the circle, so we can expect the circle to continuously keep pulling towards the Overlook area.
Yeah, meanwhile, Luminosity over in Geyser as they work their rotation all the way from the south side of the map. Near Optic Gaming, who drops down in Big Mod area. Luminosity now find themselves in a fight against Slept On. Dark Zero in the choke just to the left, and Optic Gaming. Speaking of which, I told you, Luminosity and Optic play fight near each other. Luminosity launch site, Optic over in Big Mod is going to be gatekeeping in the tunnel or the cave that leads over to Respawn Village. So Slept On, Luminosity, Optic, and Dark Zero all within a vicinity here. And similarly to what we saw with Space Station in game number 4, only one team is going to likely survive this rotation.
Be difficult, especially playing on the edge right here. Slept On understands the situation. They got the Bloodhound so they could get the scan to note how many people are on the high ground where Luminosity Gaming's position is, as well as the Caustic barrels. So that's going to let them know exactly what team it is, since we don't really see Caustic in these lobbies right now. And overall, in the Legends, we only have one Caustic in the entire lobby, so they'll know immediately that it is probably Luminosity who's holding onto this high ground, trying to circle keep them. The 30-30 shots, finding a way to pepper down on that player, though, from the low ground.
Yeah, leveling up that Evo shield and kind of starting at least to initiate the inevitable that these two teams are ultimately going to have to fight eventually. Obviously, some time. And this is kind of the calm before the storm right now, as you still have another minute or two before this ring's going to collapse and force these fights. 19 squads still alive, but ultimately Slept On and Luminosity will have to fight. We'll see who ends up on top. Slept On in last place, Luminosity vying for a top 3 finish. Can Slept On be the ones that rain on the parades here of Luminosity? We'll obviously find out as this fight continues here in a bit.
Say to see this slow pace here for this final game as well. This is the situation of a lot of these teams understanding where they are in the overall standings right now. Luminosity taking their time. It was only Rack Attack that have fallen in this entire lobby. 19 squads still left. G2 in the fight, losing out on results, although.
That's right, Resulta down and soon to be out. All up to Chaotic and Designful, the last 2 alive for their team. It looks like they'll actually, no, as I say that, Resulta down to like barely 5 HP in his down to or DBNO state, but Jen Burton is going to come through and clean up. Jen Burton gets knocked. Sharky gets knocked right after. G2 eliminated to the hands of Dark Zero. But guess what? Another team is going to be pushing. It's going to be MPS getting some damage on DZ. They'll get some reses in already. Mad Maggie not going to connect, and just like that, DZ almost back to full, maybe? Question mark.
Oh, not too sure. CLG still putting in some of the work with that G7.
Nope.
CLG now taking a nice off angle. They got the Mad Maggie out. Wonder if we're going to see the Wrecking Ball to closing that gap, because on the other side of Dark Zero, we do note that it is MPS slept on as well. All right, behind them, CLG now moving in, and they're going to get out of the line of sight of slept on, so that way they could safely hug the side of the rock right here.
That's right. Dark Zero out of this lobby. So again, not going to be the best showing for DZ in the overall grand scheme of things today. Obviously a big decision, right? They leave APAC South, where they basically had a free playoff spot. I mean, when I say free, they dominated that region for the likes of multiple years. So you would have expected them to be a top 3 team, top 5 team at least, to qualify. And now they're in a very stacked North American lobby where they risk not qualifying for the Split 1 playoffs, Vicky. It's crazy to think about, but now switching over. FaZe getting eliminated, SSG taking them out. They win that fight against FaZe, and SSG will survive.
It shows you the different pacing of the different regions, aside from the different compositions that we're also exposed to. It's always interesting to see how different teams from other regions fare against one another, and that's why LAN is so beautiful, because that's what we get to see usually in a situation like that. A Space Station are going to be able to get the reset, they're going to be able to get the reses. You can see the fences getting put up by Frex at the same time too. Frex has had such a pop-off day, by the way. Just have to state this here from Space Station, who are sitting right now first in the overall group standings before this last game right now. Zanile as well, trying to match that with Frex, has been able to have a nice standout performance as a solo player. Luminosity now also playing from the inside of this truck with the Caustic Barrel still up and alive. It's very limited space here for them to work with, but they're still making it work with some fighting happening inside of these buildings.
Yeah, Sykes is going to get a charge rifle knock on CLG, so Liquid is in contention for another great showing here to potentially take first place. A lot at stake. 16 squads remain, and guess what? A lot of our top 3, top 4 teams, Optic still alive. Space Station still alive. Team Liquid still alive. The Guard was able to work their way back into this competition. They're now fighting against Sentinels here as we take a look at Luminosity taking out Optic Gaming. This might be the end of the Green Wall. And oh my goodness, Nox gets taken out. So does Skittle. Duplex last alive. The Green Wall crumbles in Game 6.
Shooting them like ducks out of the sky there too. The alley-oop one by one as they fall. Huge shots coming in from the Sentinel. The iron sights there from Nizo. And he's still finding some more of these knocks. The Guard, nobody's safe in the line of sight of Luminosity.
That's right. LG is frying on this rotation. We talked about the calm before the storm. Well, there it was. That was the beginning of the storm. But guess what? This is a far and difficult rotation for many teams. Duplex the last alive. Can he do it? Can he survive? Can he rat his way to a top 3 finish for Optic to stay in the top 3 in a day that they need to? They're currently 21st place. Jaguares is not missing with that 30-30 long range.
It's so scary. Between the 30-30 and the Senti shots here, it's a scary situation. The EMP gonna get unleashed. Sentinels are just gonna stand on top on the second floor of this building, get as much information as possible without having to burn that Seer ult. They're inside this next circle. There's no reason for them to give up this space, so they're just trying to sit here to gain as much information as possible because they're sharing this building with NRG, who are playing off the low ground. Look at these Watson fences painting this bottom floor, and the Kraber in the hands of Sweet.
NRG, we said the need for a back-to-back game. Well, they have an opportunity here to do exactly that. However, they currently find themselves in zone with a fight against Sentinels right below or above them. It's Sentinels on their roof. Watson fences galore. They should be safe. NRG is well positioned, well poised here. Meanwhile, Space Station, Luminosity, and the last remaining rat of Optic, 100 Thieves, Team Liquid, CLG, and MPS all have to make a rotation. Not all of them will certainly survive. Luminosity takes to the sky with a Valkyrie ultimate. We'll see where LG ends up positioning themselves. Optic Gaming is out.
Well, Optic are finally out. They finally catch Duplex, the lone survivor of Optic Gaming, out in 13th place. Space Station taking to the skies, though, and loses out on too much health. This circle takes too much of your health for you to even survive in this. And unfortunately for Space Station, they were pressured out on the edge of the circle and they can't make their way through.
That's right. Sykes takes out Vaxlon. Madness and Scurry are going to go down as well. It is the who's who in the kill feed right now, with every single team basically losing 1 oxygen down to none. See you later, as they'll get taken out as well. Sentinels is going to get a knock and a kill on Pow Pow, and when the dust settles, 100 Thieves eliminated as well.
One by one as they fall, Luminosity come into our open arms. The knock grenade comes out. The thermites also come out. Everybody is getting choked out. The thermite getting the knock onto Monsoon. Ice Shining also getting deleted by that bolt in the hands of Measle. The rest of Luminosity are looking to take another W under their belt.
That's right, LG performing in this late game, and guess what? It's going to be Complexity that gets taken out. We talked about Complexity earlier. We had our eyes on them as a team that didn't necessarily perform up to their expectations today. Unfortunately, that won't change here in Game 6 unless the last remaining rat can do something insane on that Complexity squad. Back to NRG. We talked about their good positioning here in late game. Kraber in the hands right now of Sweet. What can you do with it?
Let's find out. He's got a few bullets left in that Kraber. NRG are not going to be moving from this spot. They called out this circle amazingly. Good call from Sweet, the IGL here. We've seen this circle sometimes pull on the outskirts of this building, and it's going to funnel everybody from the outskirts. CLG still rocking the Mad Maggie like we've been noting before. Rainday and I were hyping up the different team compositions that CLG have been unique enough to bring out. And Nano also has the RE45 in his hand. So these two squads that are rocking the Lobas taking control over these legendary weapons.
Yeah, this is the weapon we highlighted in the WD Black What's in Your Pack segment to start the day. Can the RE45 bookend today with a finish and a win for CLG? They need it. They're currently pretty low in the overall standings, 13th place right now with 25 points. Going to get scanned right there by the Seer Q. 3 teams all nearby. Seer Ultimate goes down, and CLG with their unique team comp currently in a pretty rough spot with Sentinels right above them.
Sentinels taking some shots with that G7. See them finding that squad that's on top of the barrels. Energy still playing right underneath them. They get the knock onto Demi from CLG. Huge here as Sentinels are looking to claim heads. Finishing off Demi is another point in their name. They need as many points as possible with their performance after today, and they're still looking to continue on the domination. Gets another crack here, but gets stuck by the Arcstar. Has to back away.
Yeah, Sentinels in 6th place right now. Needs a massive Game 6 because they are in 28th place in the overall standings. We said today was a must-perform day for them. Well, guess what? It all comes down to this last and final game. Sentinels controls their own fate, but they got to clutch it out here. NRG right below them. Can this Sentinels roster, with Tech filling in, showcase that they are the real deal? CLG gets taken out right now. Team Liquid still alive, as well as Luminosity Gaming.
Sang getting these shots, though, with the Kraber himself off of Team Smiley. This is another team that had the positional advantage, getting right here over by Overlook. Nobody contests them in the big building on the outskirts of that hilltop.
Shield battery will be popped by Crust. This is just moments until we'll finally see if Sentinels will rise to the occasion or if NRG can go back-to-back. MPS eliminated, 7 squads left. Team Liquid and NRG both lighting it up in the kill feed as guess what? Sweet gets the knock on Yazul, long range with the Kraber. Talk about the impact of the Kraber in these late game moments, Vicky.
Absolutely. That's exactly what Sweet wanted right here, but they're not going to give up that real estate that they're hanging out underneath Sentinels. They're going to stay put underneath that building. They're not going to give up this early space. You can see the shots being taken in by Team Smiley in that big building that we made mention of before. We saw that Sang had gotten some knocks with that sniper as Nocturnal are still on the high ground, splitting up some of that space, though, with the rest of Team Liquid. They're looking for an opportunity because there's 2 other squads that are playing in the space.
Yeah, and surely at this point, NRG and Sentinels, neither of them survive here. The entire lobby is going to focus them. There's one. Sentinels Crust, see you later. Senox, you're right after. Gilderson's you too, as it's going to be absolute carnage for those teams having to rotate. Team Liquid, though, sits on top of the cylinders with ultimate high ground and positioning. We called them out and said they need to perform on World's Edge. They didn't do it last time. Well, they're doing it here today. A 2nd place finish last game and an opportunity to win this one here.
I have the high ground now. Team Liquid, Bots, Complexity, Luminosity, Team Smiley, NRG, and Sentinels are left in this lobby. Sentinels drop down at the hands of NRG, who are still getting way more of these knocks than they were expecting here. Team Liquid have the positional advantage, though, follow. They have the Godspot, they have the Charge Rifle, but they're going to have to drop down eventually.
Sykes making an absolute campaign for MVP of the day here with his performance. Kill leader with 4 right now. He's going to drop low. Oh my God! The damage from Sykes! Nocturnal needs to follow up. It's down to the duo. Knock and Fun. They're going to eliminate the bots from this lobby, but Sykes' Fun goes down, leaving Nocturnal last alive.
Oh, they have to try to focus here. Nocturnal being the only solo rat playing up the knockdown shields. Can he get the finish? He gets the crack, but he doesn't get the finish. on Nocturnal, who's literally won. Complexity left here. Luminosity still in this lobby, playing off the fence line. The Noxcast hiding them, masking them as they ease their way into this circle.
NRG survived somehow that fight. Sweet with the Kravers not missing. He's going to connect for 150. See you later, Smiley. They're eliminated. NRG versus LG in the final fight. Guess what? LG is going to do it from a terrible spot in that house and terrible positioning. They win game number 6. NRG goes back-to-back to close out the day.
You said it. You said that NRG needed to have another pop-off game, and they did just that. After getting 17 kills in Game 5, they take another dub in this final game to close out our day here in North America.
Unbelievable showing right there as we welcome Rain Day back to the conversation. NRG does it. They go back-to-back. That should put them in the top 3, Evan. Space Station got taken out early. You wonder, is it enough?
I had myself muted again. I was just watching the action and screaming. I couldn't interrupt you guys while you were casting. My goodness, NRG, I think that they have put themselves in a great spot here to get a result that they're excited about. And I know that you guys are looking at NRG and their performance and going, where does that land them? SSG did a lot too, and Liquid as well. I mean, look at all of our top performers kind of battling it out at the very end. I felt like this was a great way for us to close out this final game of day 5. And 2, a great way for NRG to make a statement. Back-to-back wins going into it, Vicky, and that's really what we asked. Could they turn it around, but could they really turn it around? One win and another flub, that wouldn't really count as NRG making a statement. I feel like this certainly did.
Yeah, it's the most NRG thing, though, too, because when we talk about teams that like to rear up, NRG, like what Fallout mentioned before going into Game 6, is a very momentum-based team. The moment Sweet has confidence, the moment they are feeling themselves, you can expect the rest of the day to go great for NRG. So coming off of such a huge game in game number 5 into game number 6, you saw what the game plan was from the very beginning. They had the Kraber in their hand, they had the building that they want to settle down in, and they had the team composition to play for final circle positioning. So with the Watson fences, they had no reason to actually give up any of that space, and they were able to get the KP that they needed with some of those Kraber shots from Sweet.
John, how do you feel? I mean, taking a look at Game 6, what's the takeaway here for our day coming to a close?
Takeaway is, it ain't over until someone sings. And guess what? Sweet Dreams going to be singing that sweet melody here. We'll see where that puts them in the overall standings. But NRG, games 1 through 4 dropped an egg. Games 5 and 6, they dominate with first place finishes, back-to-back wins. And that's what you love about competitive Apex, Evan. The fact that anyone at any time can step up in the final 2 games of a series and work their way back up the standings. NRG did that. I just can't wait to see where that puts them. As you see here, Space Station out in 12th. You know, Optic got taken out relatively early, I think in like 9th or 10th or 11th. So overall, it's going to be an opportunity here for NRG to maybe take that first place spot. If not, Team Liquid will hold it.
I feel like the top is very close right now, and that's the thing. You look at first place, I think being 59 points. I know NRG had above 50 before they won that game. What does that mean for them? Usually it's a 6-point swap because you get those 3 extra points for winning, and you get the down of the 3 players that you're fighting. So that should be some tantalizing math coming up as well. But Sentinels, they played well too. Liquid, they had the high ground, which is typically a very dangerous spot here, Vicky, for anyone to play off of, and they were doing a great job. It just wasn't the day for Sykes to be able to clutch it up at the end.
Yeah, Sykes also splitting his attention to the squad that was right underneath them, beaming them at the same time. But it was this one final fight. Nocturnal was one. Complexity on the other side was literally one. Lux managed to clutch that out, but then falling down right afterwards. This is the moment here where Luminosity was hiding behind that Noxcast, but it was NRG that played off of the location that created so beautiful. You saw Sweet with the movement right there on the Valkyrie to get a nice off-angle position to win that game.
Well, it has put us in a very interesting position. That's a good sign for Luminosity that they got that many points, especially since they were vying for some of the top spots here. But NRG go back to back, John, and they set themselves up for maybe a fantastic finish here.
That's right. Team Liquid does a lot, though. 8 kills, 12 points overall. Should be enough for Liquid to take first, I think. That's a big I think, as we'll see the overall standings here. We'll take a look at the second page. Sentinels in 3rd place, or sorry, 3 points of placement, not enough. 5 total points. That'll put them down in maybe 6th, 7th, or 8th place overall. So not the day that Sentinels needed necessarily either. 100 Thieves get 6 kills here on the first page as we take a look at the second page, Ray Day. It's going to be a storybook finish here in this late game. The thing I'm most confused about, though, is NRG had 1 knocked, and they were in what seemed like a terrible spot. I don't know how they turned that around. It was really just a great game for them.
They have a great way of being able to turn bad situations into good. One of the things that NRG and Sweet are known for. Vicky, Space Station got 6 points. Did they do enough? We know that the Guard and Optic probably did not, but Space Station, they still have a chance.
Yeah, because right before that game, they were sitting in first place, but look at Team Liquid were able to do it by 1 point. That 1 point difference made everything for Team Liquid to claim that #1 spot over Space Station in the overall results for today.
Wow, John, Liquid finally do it. They take not only their a win here, but they make a statement against NRG in their lobby as well, putting themselves within the likes of LG, TSM, and Guard as winners of North American Days.
Insane showing from Liquid, but what a day it was. 4 points, that's it. A placement or 2, a few kills separates overall. And guess what? Team Liquid will take the first place spot. Keep in mind, they have 1 more series over TSM in Group B. So that's why they're in first. TSM has a chance to take that first place spot back when they play this Thursday. But congratulations to Team Liquid. Wow, what a showing from them.
And I'm really, really impressed here. Can we talk about complexity? You know, being able to still stay in that top 3. Yes, we know that they might have played a few more, but just the fact that they've been consistent, they haven't been lights out, but they've done what they need to do to be in that spot. Now, Vicky, on this back half, though, teams still got a lot of work to put into here over the series standing so far.
Yeah, Sentinels, yeah, they had a great day, but they need to do even better because they've had a pretty rough few days of this first split. Right now, you can still see them sitting in 25 overall. Obviously, Team Smiley had a pretty great performance in that last game, but not the performance throughout the rest of the day that they want to get to stay consistent in a lobby like this. Because, I mean, you saw what NRG was able to basically do. They went from 12th place, I believe they skyrocketed themselves to top 7 in the overall standing. So those last 2 games alone did everything for this team. And I'm surprised to see Optic Gaming now in that 13th place as well, sitting on that second page.
I don't know where Sentinels was, but they certainly got a lot more than they had, and that's a good performance. If they can keep that up, they've got a few more days. I think they will be making playoffs, but that's a lot to ask for. Let's take a look at the leaderboard here. On the top of it all, Luminosity Gaming, they have been somebody to not mess with, and Yanya certainly making it known that this player, this young gunner, John, is always going to be fragging out and somebody to run away from if you see him coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Yanya performs with Luminosity. Sykes right behind him. Again, we've been talking about it. The rookie, the new player on this Team Liquid squad with big shoes to fill, and Gildersons has been showing up big time. Tech rounds out the top 3. Kudos and props to Tech on a big day today. Performed incredibly well for his squad, and obviously some great calls as he was kind of yelling the squad as well. Knocked in 4th place right behind it, but a pretty evenly overall matched kill leaderboard. Evan, it's going to be an interesting discussion for Monster MVP.
Certainly will be. And you look at the rest of today and you look at the lobby coming into this day, you could have predicted several teams to win, and you probably would have been right. In fact, the last 8 minutes decided it all in terms of who would take the cake, and it was so close between Space Station Gaming and Team Liquid. But of course, I think that there were still members on both of those teams that contributed to this great performance. And in fact, it's time we talk about who stood out for us. All right, first I want to lead to you, Vicky. Who stood out to you here over the day? Because I feel like there were so many people to pick from, but we do have to pick one at the end of it.
I'm going to have to go with Zenile from Space Station. Zenile out here was putting in a lot of work. I believe out of all the games that they were able to frag out and stay consistently in the top 3, he finished off the day with over 11 kills, 13 kills. So as we get to see a lot of the performance that they had on Storm Point, this is where we really got to see Zenile being on the Valkyrie position to get into the high ground spots and also help enable the rest of his team to really find off these pop-up performances. They took game number 4, our first game on World's Edge, but they were flying while making the rotations into that final circle. Really like the way that Zenile was able to play with the rest of the team, and Space Station definitely needed a pop-off day today, very similar to how NRG needed to find their confidence again for today, because this leaves things open up for North America, I feel like, for at least the second page of the squads to really start popping off.
It's a 1 point difference, right, between whether we're saying Space Station Gaming are your winners and they put themselves in a new echelon of play versus Team Liquid. So what a performance there. Zenile obviously contributed to that. Fallout, I want to head to you. Who stood out to you in your eyes as the top performer today?
Yeah, for me, it's 100% kill leader on the day. It's Yanya. Really, really great performance from Yanya, formerly known as Ganja Men. We also knew what he did is he burst onto the scene as a rookie back in year 2, split 2, performed so incredibly well back under that moniker. Remember that bow check bow play from back then, but changes his gamer tag, commits to the Yanya gamer tag instead of Ganja Men. And boy, oh boy, as Yanya continued right where he left off from split 2 of last year, performed so well as an individual, such great calls. The young 18-year-old Mexican player is playing out of his mind week in and week out in Pro League, leading the way, leading with example. And just like that, Yanya as the kill leader is my MVP personally, playing unbelievable for this squad.
I mean, great picks. I got to throw a little nod to Sykes. I mean, being able to get picked up and fit into this roster with so many adjustments and abrupt adjustments. That's right before the season started, to do what they did and to have Liquid perform this way. It's just an incredible feat. And got to say congratulations to the people that we've chosen today as our top performers. All right. Well, what a great day this has been. We had drama all the way around, and there were a lot of teams that we challenged. We challenged teams to step up and, go from high performing to the top performers. We also challenged teams to go from nowhere to somewhere, and that was maybe the likes of NRG, maybe the likes of Sentinels, and definitely Optic Gaming. And they did show up, but there was one team that I had my eye on from the beginning specifically because they had been consistent performers, but have sometimes found themselves not in the conversation in the likes of the top team in North America. They certainly put the results in, though, to be considered that way, and maybe shaking off the dust of that reputation and turning a new leaf. We have Team Liquid winning today. And of course, when you speak of Team Liquid, a lot of players come to mind, but a coach comes to mind as well. We've got him standing by. Hodzic is with us here for an interview. Hodzic, how's it going, my man? Congratulations on the win. How are you guys feeling coming out of a really strenuous and just crazy day of action?
I mean, we're feeling good with the result, obviously, but it feels like a really weird first place. Like, it almost feels like it wasn't even like really deserved. I don't know, but it's like a weird feeling. Like, we're obviously very happy, but it was a weird series of games.
Is this because you guys just think you should have done better? I mean, what's the thought process behind why it doesn't really feel like a win for you, maybe?
I mean, yeah, I think the boys are just, we're all very critical of each other. I think that's how we've been able to climb to where we are. But yeah, I mean, even the first two game days, we got third place both times, and like that didn't feel good for us. Even a lot of these games, there are still a lot of mistakes that we're making that we can absolutely tighten up on. And I think that's why it's kind of like it doesn't feel like a first place for us. But obviously we're happy with the result regardless.
That's interesting to hear from you, because I know whenever I end up talking to you about what Team Liquid's got in store for us and what they're going to be bringing differently to help elevate their gameplay, you always have some plans in mind, and you have a plan B, you have a plan C if plan A doesn't work out. Now, looking at the way that you guys have been performing, if you guys aren't happy so far with your results, is there anything different in terms of mindset that you guys are going to be doing to help maybe elevate some of that confidence, maybe not beat yourselves up after having a pretty great performance? Or is it that 1 point difference that makes you guys feel like, we could have done better if we could have built up a bigger gap between ourselves and the rest of this lobby?
Yeah, I mean, to put it simply, the first 3 game days, we got third, and then 7th. And we know our storm point's very good, and we're very happy with it where it is. We almost actually changed it last minute, but I'm glad we decided to stick with it. But our World's Edge wasn't producing the points that we were looking for. So actually this week, we swapped Knock from playing Loba and Watson on both maps to being our Valk full time, and we actually put Sykes on Loba and Watson, and we swapped up a little bit of the way we use some of the guns. We had them on we had Fawn and Sykes on double charge rifle for a lot of the match if we could find them and the ammo. So we swapped up a lot in hopes that we could get more point production on World's Edge, and I think it's starting to work out a little bit better for us.
Well, Hodzic, you just answered that question with the exact question I was going to ask you, which is about kind of the World's Edge change-up and the change-up you guys had this week with Knock on Valkyrie. But I'll switch it up for you. I would love to get your take. Obviously, the rise of the coach as of late. I think a lot of teams saw Liquid success with you as a full-time coach and analyst for this team and have been kind of following in that footstep and that blueprint. Who, in your eyes, are some of the other top coaches, though, in North America and in the world?
I mean, the obvious answers, I think, that really, like, at the end of the day, it's really hard to gauge what a coach does for a team because, honestly, it's with a game as complex as this, a lot of coaches I've talked to do different things for their team. Basically anything that they can do to bring value and help their team produce better. But I mean, the only thing you can really go off of are results at the end of the day on who's doing well. So you obviously got to give a nod off to Raven. I mean, TSM swapping their not only their World's Edge POI, but also like kind of swapping up their play style a lot, just how they approach the game. Obviously, Raven's done an incredible job with TSM, so huge hats off to him. I hold a lot of respect for C-Line as well for doing what he did with Furia, despite initiating the Seer meta. I do hold a lot of respect for him as well. So, got to give big shout out to those guys for what they do, because at the end of the day, the results are what matter the most.
Well, speaking of that, results definitely speak in your favor today, Hotsick. Maybe you and the boys know there's some things to improve on, but for all of us watching at home and casting, looks like a win to us. Hope you enjoy it and figure out some stuff. We look forward to seeing you in the rest of Pro League, buddy.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, Hotsick from Team Liquid. Guys, reactions. I felt, I was surprised at kind of the critical nature of the early response, especially coming off of a win, John. But at the end of the day, closing thoughts and kind of just reacting to that interview, it seemed like they definitely know that their goal is not just winning here, it's winning when it really counts.
Yeah, I love it. I love every bit of it. Talk about being critical. Talk about really striving and focusing on perfection as a team that wins a Pro League day. And he approached the interview with, I honestly, we could have done a lot better. Is a team that, in my eyes, is destined for long-term success. This Team Liquid squad has been so impressive to me over the last year. Their trajectory, their rise to a top 2 team in North America and a top 5 team in the world, maybe even better than that. And I think it's because of what you just saw right there from Hotsick, that mentality from these guys and how critical they are of themselves. They're the most professional, most mature, and most prepped team in all of Apex. I've been saying that for a while now, and it showed in that interview, Evan.
Well, John, you've been fantastic today. Appreciate you, man. And of course, Vicky, kind of final words there in reaction to the Hotsick interview. I want to get your thoughts because, Liquid had a great day, but so did Space Station. A lot of teams kind of showed up, and even teams we challenged, like Sentinels, like Optic Gaming, they did well. What's your kind of final words and takeaway after a great day 5 here in North America?
I've talked Hotsick's ear off in person over in the Sweden land a bunch of times in champs as well. They were very focused and honed into what they wanted to do. And I asked a lot of questions about Team Liquid's approach to what they wanted to do in LAN. And now seeing their development over their mentality leaving champs, going into how they've performed so far within this first split of year 3, it's really nice because the first impression I got of Hotsick was how humble he is as a coach, how understanding he is of his players, and how patient he is. And I think patience is an extremely important key when it comes to the top level of competitive Apex. So seeing the way that they are taking the day and just not taking it as just a straight up W and seeing it as more of a learning experience, because they've been wanting this W for a really long time. They've been trying to strive for first place, but they've always been in the top 3 spots. It hasn't been number 1, but it's been number 2, but number 3 very consistently. They finally get the number 1, but it's not enough for them. So I'm excited to see what Team Liquid's got in store for us throughout the rest of this Pro League.
Well, we know that they want to go far in Apex Legends, and we know that every journey of 1,000 miles begins with the very first step. It seems like they're counting those steps and not really worrying about rushing to the end because they know where they're headed, and certainly seems like it's in a good direction. Fallout, Vicky, it's been amazing to have you guys around with us. And of course, for those who've been joining us, it's been fantastic to see you here. They're playing us out on their musical instruments, but I don't want to go just yet. I want to tell you a little bit about what's happening in December 1st. That's when we have Pro Day number 6. Get ready. It is going to be a fun one. It starts at 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 Eastern time, 1700 GMT. From all of us here, the broadcast, the producers, the directors, everyone who made this happen, our players, our casters, our staff. I just want to make sure that you guys know we appreciate you, we love you, and everyone who watched, you are the Apex community. We love you. We appreciate you. My name's been Rainy. That's Fallout. That's Vicky Kitty. Thank you to everyone. And as always, never give up. Never stop gaming. We'll see you all next time.